When the fixtures were announced for the Betfred Super League back at the end of last year, how many people would have predicted that come the start of British summertime, St Helens against Warrington would be a battle featuring 2 of the bottom 4? But that's what we have this crucial Friday night Super League. Significant changes to the team lineups for both sides. St Helens at last can call on scrum half Matty Smith for the first time this year, having recovered from a broken leg sustained in a pre-season friendly. Smith's last Super League game was the grand final last October for Wigan. Smith's inclusion in the side at the 6th time of asking means that skipper John Wilkin can revert to his more usual position in the back row of the forwards. Tommy Lee starts in place of James Roby, and Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook moves up off the bench to start. Which means that Roby and Peyru take their places on the bench tonight. Morgan Knowles is the man who misses out, having started the last 3. A huge boost for Warrington too. Stefan Ratchford was injured on international duty with England last year. It's been a frustrating wait on the sidelines as the Wolves have lost 5 in a row. Will he provide the spark tonight? As Ratchford returns though, Ryan Atkins drops out injured. Toby King then plays for the first time since round 1. And Tom Lynham is suspended, so Jack Johnson, one of the 3 full backs used this year, shifts out to the wing. The forward pack is unchanged. Chris Hill makes his 2nd successive appearance on the comeback trail. And on the bench, Dom Crosby returns to action for his 3rd appearance of the campaign. His last game was in the defeat to Castleford a full month ago. Well, as is the case in Super League these days, the clubs are putting on their own individual light shows, and that's what we've got going on outside this St Helens dressing room right now. Will lightning St Helens and Warrington in 5 rounds. We all remember what happened to Leeds and Huddersfield in 2016. But the demise of Warrington, who were top of the table last year, is frightening for their supporters. The only team yet to record a victory in 2017. Played 5, lost 5. The last meeting with St Helens last September, with Old Trafford on the agenda and up for grabs, the Wolves won by 18 points to 10 to reach a 3rd grand final in 5 years, but they have not won domestically since. So out they come, the 2 teams. Saints ended that 3-match losing sequence with a gutsy win in France against the Catalan Dragons last Saturday, their first win in Perpignan in 4 games. And 10 wins from 23, regarded as the target for the top 8 safety. 19 or 20 for a playoff place. So unless these 2 sides rediscover their winning habits, they could soon be heading towards their point of no return. Terry O'Connor, this is a massive match for these 2 clubs. It always is, with a little bit of local pride at stake, but more so tonight. It is, Eddie, and I've been looking forward to this game all week. 2 valuable players return. 1 for Warrington, 1 for Saints, who's got the key to that door. Alex Walmsley and Kyler Moore, they were immense last week, and I'm sure that the Saints have talked about targeting Warrington up the middle of the park, but Matty Smith will bring some stability, give them direction. You look at Stefan Ratchford, he's got some very good rugby league assets and IQ, and I think he'll be crucial for Warrington. Well, of course, last night, and indeed at all the Super League fixtures this weekend, we will pause before kick-off to remember those who lost their lives in the terrorist atrocity in Westminster on Wednesday. The incident claimed another life earlier today. And Tony Barrow Jr., he lost his fight against a long illness last weekend. His dad, Tony Sr., is a former St Helens player and, of course, is a former Warrington coach. And before the game tonight, here at St Helens, the crowd and all of us will observe a minute's silence. The minute's silence ends on the blast of the whistle of match referee James Child tonight. And as you can see, the lights now back up to full strength. Well, two sides who are rapidly approaching their points of no return. It's an equally desperate situation for Saints in many ways. 2 wins so far, but they need the tide to turn soon if they are to preserve their record as the only side to have competed in every playoff campaign since 1998. A massive 80 minutes coming up, and Matty Smith back in St Helens colours in the Super League for the first time. Last time he tangled with Warrington was in the grand final itself at Old Trafford, and he came away with, of course, the winner's ring. Smith gets us underway. This is a big, big game for both of these clubs. Kurt Gidley is underneath the kickoff. Mike Cooper will take the first drive in and will receive the first tackle from Luke Douglas and company. Here now is Chris Hill. He was deemed to be the Messiah last week, coming back to rescue the fortunes of Warrington. Now attention switches to fullback Stefan Ratchford. It's a fascinating game we've got in prospect here tonight.
Well, Chris Hill will certainly stiffen him up at the middle. The amount of times he puts his hand up to take the ball forward, and he leads from the front. I'm sure that Warrington will follow his example. But bringing Stefan Ratchford back into the side, it just frees other players up to perform and do their duties in the game.
Mike Cooper gets to within 8 metres or so on the final tackle. So here's the kick from Gidley, and it goes straight into the arms of Adam Swift on that far side of the field. Swift will return the compliment, gets as far as Darrell Clark, and finished off by Chris Hill. Theo Farge and Tommy Makinson. What a hit that Tommy Makinson put in last week in the match in Perpignan. One of the best hits, chasing a long kick downfield, and boy, it was worth switching the TV on alone.
It was a good shot, wasn't it? I think he thought that he was 18 stone, 6'4", doing a prop forwards job.
Brilliant chase, and I'm sure that Kieran Cunningham will be hoping for more of the same from Tommy Makinson here tonight. Tommy Lee, and a charge down by Warrington. That's very much in their DNA. It sometimes comes off for them, but Theo Farge is the first to react. The ball went back a good distance too, and Farge was quick.
Seemed too slow though from Theo Farge. Took his time trying to get that kick away. And you could see that Warrington straight away, they pounced on that. Very dangerous Warrington when the charge kicks down.
Sometimes you can only get the best out of sportsmen when they're pushed to the very edge. They're on the brink, and I think that's where Warrington sit, in my opinion, here tonight, Eddie, in this game. Their season rests on victory here tonight, and I think we're going to see that desperation, particularly from the start of this match. I
think you said yesterday, Phil, that you doubted if Warrington could make it to the grand final if they lose here tonight. That view, I have to tell you, has been poo-pooed by the coach, Tony Smith.
It has, and we'll get to see who's right at the end of, I suppose, September, October. But I don't think they'll even get to the playoffs if they don't win here. They'll have too much to do, and I think their confidence will be absolutely decimated if they leave here tonight.
This is Matty Russell now for the Warrington Wolves. Gidley was the dummy half. Decent work from Jack Hughes, but Alex Walmsley was alert to the threat. Looping pass and over the head of Chris Hill. He had to pick that out of the air like a soccer goalkeeper. He managed to hang on to it. Gets to within 10 metres of the halfway line. Ratchford finds Gidley, and here is Jack Hughes again. Gives it then to Rhys Evans.
Eddie, there could be a problem with Darrell Clark. The physio's already been on to him. He's told him he's okay, he's fine to continue, but just watch out for Darrell Clark.
High kick, good take though from Adam Swift. There is Clark, number 9, first or second in to effect the tackle.
He's a good player, isn't he, Adam Swift? So strong returning the ball, as is this man, Tommy Makinson. And they get the ball, they've got good footwork at the line to keep offering himself, and probably since his standout player this year has been Mark Percival. So dangerous on that left edge.
Here is Zeb Taylor, gets it away to John Wilkin. Wilkin then into centre field. And Luke Douglas will play the ball. This now is Matty Smith. This is going to be the important role for Matty Smith, the kicking game, and that's a belter.
Wonderful kick and chase. 5 St Helens players reacted to that. We talked about the feel-good factor that Matty Smith would bring to this Saints side. You can see from the reaction of his teammates, they trust him, they believe in him, and they're going to follow him.
Scampering out of dummy half is Jack Johnson, full back last week, and a try off the wing in defeat at Salford. He was drafted in when Russell pulled out of that game. Westwood now will continue on, the evergreen Ben Westwood, to the 40-metre line. Clark to Kevin Brown, who's inside the 40-metre mark, but that went right down the middle. No chance of a 40-20. So Makinson will run this ball back. He gets as far as Rhys Evans. Good tackle from Evans.
It just seems like a game of chess at the minute. You want to get to your kick it down the field. On that occasion, Warrington just not placing it in the air. They were just happy enough to let it just roll along the ground, putting pressure on Makinson, let the defenders get up there.
No risk play, Terry, because Warrington bottom and St Helens third bottom after Wakefield's victory last night lifted them out of trouble.
And this is what you can't do when you're at the bottom of the table, giving those penalties away. Alex Walmsley, as I said at the start of this game, he was immense last week, made 165 metres. You've got to control those first few players like Barry talked about in the studio before. If you lose the first three players, tackle 4, 5 and 6 are so easy.
Well, Matty Smith dumps the ball into touch over on the far side. Second debut for St Helens. Been a long time coming. Farge did well, got that ball away. Here now is Ryan Morgan. He's found Jack Owens, who cuts inside a couple. He had support on his inside from Tommy Makinson. And that was Morgan at dummy half. Here is Louis McCarthy-Scars, but riskily holding the ball in one hand, getting the Saints to within 3, 4, 5 maybe metres away from the Warrington line. Lee to Wilkin, he pops it up to Douglas. Westwood saw the danger coming, got the tackle in. Tommy Lee and Smith, and through the fingertips and backwards into the arms of Mark Percival. Good work by Westwood. Tommy Lee again, Saints turning the screw with Farge on the bounce and through the legs. It finds Jack Owens. Jack Owens manages to get away from Toby King and gives it to Farge again. Here now is Wilkin. Wilkin left-footed into the in-goal area, and Matty Smith is hunting this. Stephen Ratchford's after it, but Ratchford is trapped in goal. It's a goal line dropout.
I've read comments recently about the St Helens players saying they've spoken about trying to search for their identity. What is it that this club's been famous for? Why and how have they been successful? And I think what we've just seen in that last 2 minutes of play here, with their ability to pass the ball, find men in better positions than them, and apply pressure to their opponents with some intensity, sums up really how they were successful for a decade, and maybe what they need to do again if they want to get back there.
The Warrington supporters, Stuart, felt that Ratchford had grounded that ball the other side of the goal line, but those pictures showed maybe not.
No, not at all. The momentum of the tackle when the St Helens players dived in made him have the ball on top of the goal line, which is actually part of the in-goal area. It's the right decision for the restart, the goal line dropout. So
Ratchford with the goal line dropout finds Farge on halfway. Here comes Alex Walmsley chewing up the ground.
He's a big body in it, all 6'6" of him. Runs hard and he's destructive when he runs like that.
Luke Douglas now, once again, close season signing from the Gold Coast Titans in Australia. Plays the ball to Tommy Lee, another close season arrival. Theo Farge in his second season with the Saints. And Gidley was alert to the danger there with Rhys Evans. Plays the ball though to Lee. They go down the short side. Zeb Tyre gets it away to Mark Percival. And Warrington again muscling up in defence. Hughes and Evans. Here is Lee once more. Now it's with Wilkin. Wilkin gets it back to Smith. Good ball to Louis McCarthy-Scars, but very well watched by Kevin Brown. Lee, Smith, little kick over the top, looking for Owens. The ball comes back. Oh, and Owens gets it, but the referee says that is a knock-on.
Yeah, from Jack Owens when he goes up. Can't take that ball cleanly. He's putting Johnson under pressure.
Goes backwards.
The ball looks like it goes backwards there.
But I think he's run forwards, hasn't he? And that's why it makes it look like it's gone backwards, but it actually travels forwards. Watch from the hands.
You've got to give some credit there to Warrington's defence, though. The line speed was very good. They were shooting out of the line. They were cutting down the likes of Matty Smith, John Wilkin, cutting down their thinking time.
Some Warrington's hearts missed a beat here. Well, the ball appeared to go backwards, then bounced forward, but James Child saw it another way. So the score stays at 0-0, and we've had 8.5 minutes.
Well, St Helens have talked about starting games better. They've been pretty impressive for 8. Although now they line.
Clark on halfway. Brown with the kick. Not the best though. It's easy for Adam Swift Swift will return this.
Good pick up from Swift. Dips down, gains 20 metres. Both wingers. Tommy Makinson's playing at fullback tonight, but Adam Swift, Tommy Makinson, as soon as they get the ball, they're trying to get up to full pace and bend the defensive line of their opponents.
Jack Owens thought he'd scored a try a few moments ago, picks himself up and plays the ball to Tommy Lee. Lee, he's keeping James Roby on the bench at the start tonight. And remember, James Roby coming off the bench in the year that he got the Man of Steel. He came off the bench many times and he made the biggest impact on the season in each and every sense of the word. High kick though here from Matty Smith, claimed by Ratchford. And good following up by Theo Farge. That's a penalty. Just had a second paul at the leg.
Stephen Ratchford, he's got his timing, hasn't he? Just 9 minutes into his comeback.
I'll tell you what,
still as brave as ever.
Kirk Gidley does well with the kick chase of Tommy Makinson. Two players collide, they're going in the same direction. It was just a little nudge.
Ratchford did well then. I mean, that's an Academy Award, isn't it?
Just going to say, Tommy Makinson looked like he might have got his second outing in the Big Hits top 5. Who'd have thought a winger in the top 5?
Well, he's playing full back tonight, and he has been all season, so you know it might well squeak into this week's
There's your
list.
answer. There's your answer. That's why he's in.
Because he's not playing on the wing anymore.
Yeah.
Gidley into centre field finds Chris Hill. Hill will take Warrington over halfway.
Hey, move, Tommy. Zip, yeah, hold.
And Darrell Clark waits at dummy half. Here now, Brown. Brown finds Ratchford, chiming into the line, which he does so effectively. Gets away from the first would-be challenge. Tommy Lee stood his ground. Darrell Clark again, taking on Lee, putting a hand in his chest, barging him off, but Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook was there. Ratchford again. Brown now, dinks it over the top to the in-goal area, just ran a little bit too quickly.
Just too much on that, but the kicking game from Kevin Brown, he mixes it up all the time, whether it be high in the sky or whether it's a little chip over the top or kicks to the corner. He's got a lot of different kicks in his kit bag.
Adam Swift tries to come back on the right-hand side, goes down. Lee, Wilkin, Walmsley, big hit. Clark and Westwood in very quickly.
Yeah, all the experience from Westwood there, taking the meters off Alex Walmsley, but giving the penalty away. Again, your first contact's got to be high. Alex Walmsley's gained 2 penalties for his side, the way he carries the ball, the way he fights to get up. The spells that he's on the pitch, he's a big influence and so influential to his side. Everyone around him responds. Smaller fellas push up because he can ride tackles, he gets over them, he offloads the ball.
He's getting longer on the field this season than he did last season. They are getting an hour of power from the big man, and it's certainly making a difference.
Tommy Lee pointing the direction, coming right, and then he goes left into centre field and he finds Farge. Drops the pass off to Walmsley. Good tackle low down by Clark. Finished off by Hughes and Westwood combination. Lee is waiting at dummy half 20 metres away. Here now is Wilkin. Wilkin then to Smith. He drops the ball off to Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook. Helens does a little quick run around, but it's a run around his own player, so it's a penalty to Warrington.
Yeah, obstruction, I think it was Joe Westerman who was impeded. When he comes back, he cuts back across the line there. You can see that Douglas is in the line. Joe Westerman can't get to him.
So penalty for Warrington. Penalty for Saints. Quickly followed by one for the Warrington Wolves. Only win against Warrington here, March 2015, when the Saints were reigning champions. They scored 5 tries to 4 in a 32-24 victory. Warrington have done a lot better here at this new ground than they have done, although they haven't done well here because Westwood has knocked the ball on. Just making the point they didn't win a game in Super League at the old Knowsley Road, the old lady of Super League, but they've done a lot better here.
They're a good side, and you just look down the team sheet, Eddie. This Warrington side can cause problems. They need that field position. It seems that all the play in the opening 13 minutes has been down near Warrington's try line.
Terry, is it just purely and simply a question of confidence for Warrington? They get a win somewhere down the line and the confidence will grow.
Yeah. They just need that lift. Chris Hill's come back into the side. Stephen Ratchford's now come back into the side. As soon as they start clicking and start performing, like you'll see Warrington just propel up the table. They just need to get that first win. Everyone needs to perform. As soon as whether it be Kevin Brown, Stephen Ratchford, Mike Cooper, they've got enough internationals to lead by example, and those players are hurting, Eddie.
Leeds 10-0 up at Huddersfield. Huddersfield struggling again this season. Leeds look like they've regained their feet. What's coming up for Warrington in the road ahead? They're at home to Hull and then at home to Leeds in the next 2 weeks before they go to Widnes over Easter and then take on Huddersfield at home also over Easter.
Kevin, you're offside.
Smith gets the ball away. Oh, that was almost picked up by Johnson. Was unlucky for the youngster. Snaked the arm out, just couldn't take it before it bounced.
He had to stick the arm out. There's an overlap on the outside.
Great play, wasn't it, to even set up Ryan Morgan there with that pass. The pass to get to him with the deception of Makinson on the inside, and then Johnson just can't catch it. He takes that back on the full. They have possession as it is now. The back defending, and I think it's been a very impressive opening 15 minutes from both sides, actually. I haven't seen Warrington play this well in the last 3 games. They really are running like they mean it.
Just let me tell you what the road ahead for St Helens looks like. They have got Salford away next round. That's round 7. Here is Owens, and this now Mark Percival. That Salford game, by the way, you can see with us on Sky Sports. Huddersfield at home, Wigan away in the Good Friday derby, and Castleford at home on Easter Monday. So 2 very important programmes ahead for these 2 sides currently residing in the bottom 3 of the Betfred Super League. Now then, what can St Helens do here with this good field position? Good, quick hands from Percival, but a little bit too quick because Adam Swift had overrun him.
But I agree. I never thought I'd say this, Phil, but I agree with you. I think the shifts from St Helens, they look really impressive. Every successful side, every successful campaign, it's built on a foundation of hard work and doing the little things really, really well. If you ally that with a good attitude, and when things are going against you, Kieran Cunningham talked about it before the game. He said, I'm happy with the fight that my side have got. Even when things go wrong, I'm happy with the fight. And they look good, their early shifts are good. But you're right, Phil. A good gripping contest this so far.
Salford leading 6-0 at Widnes. Don't forget you can get all the highlights at full time on our website, skysports.com/rugby league. Just follow the links, you'll find all the highlights. So Leeds ahead and Salford ahead in 2 of the other games tonight. And here at St Helens, it's 0-0. And head and feed at this scrum to the Warrington Wolves. It is safety first, though, isn't it? That we haven't seen any flamboyance from either side yet.
Well, Saints are willing to shift it, whereas Warrington just seem to want to get to the kick, but it's where Warrington are playing the game, Eddie. You can't really be that flamboyant near your own try line when you're so tight defensively. The likes of Alex Worms, he can fly off the line. He's got a couple more seconds because the play the balls are slower. You're hitting in numbers. Look, 3 players holding Chris Hill up.
Oh, he gets the ball away brilliantly there to Darryl Clark. And Clark gets away from Tommy Lee. It was a good job that the reinforcements were there in the shape of Luke Douglas. This now is Gidley again to Hughes.
Eddie, and isn't that what Chris Hill gives you? 3 players around him, manages to get his arm free and offload that pass.
Westerman now for Warrington. You know that they are the offload kings. They love to get the ball away. To Warrington, that ball has come free, and it's just simply a knock-on. Joe Westerman actually just surrendered the ball then, and there was no way in the world that James Child was going to give a ball steal. He just surrenders it. Watch. The hands are all over it, but then he just lets go.
Whether he was... I don't know. I think there was hands in there from Luke Douglas.
I think that was 6 and 2 threes, that one. Here's the offload from Chris Hill. They're playing for that. They're waiting for that. The setup, particularly players like Darryl Clark and Stephen Rashford, when they can get on the end of players like that. But you're right, Tezzy. Territorially, this game has all been played with Warrington near their own try line.
Eddie, and that's the last 2 occasions that they've had the ball that they've not got to the kick. They've made mistakes.
Well, can St Helens capitalise on this? Jack Owens takes it forward on the first tackle. Tommy Lee is at dummy half. Here is Alex Wormsley. Running strongly, as he has done all season, Wormsley. Lee again, just over the halfway line, the Saints. Now with Wilkin. Here is Farge. Into the arms of Percival. Mark Percival. 4 tries in his last 3 games. Warrington know the danger that he will possess. Farge then shuttles it out to Zeb Taylor. And Taya gets the ball free before the tackle was completed. Wilkin, Smith to Makinson. Warrington moving up very quickly in defence. So Tommy Lee is waiting again as Makinson gets to his feet, plays the ball to him. And that looked a touch forward to Wilkin, but that was all right to Smith, and that was all equally better. Oh, he's given that one as a forward pass. He's given that one as a forward pass.
There was a couple of decent offloads for Saints, wasn't it? The build-up to this, as the Saints players are going to ground. Matty Smith again. He's got the confidence to throw that ball out to Adam Swift, who's hugging the touchline.
Look where the touch judge is, though. You have to back the touch judge. I agree. The one before that was marginal, maybe.
Well, you look at his hands when he passes the ball does come forward out of his hands. And as you say, touch judge Clint Sherrod's in the perfect position to judge that. If you watch when the ball comes out, it comes out forwards.
And the fact that Matty Smith ended up ahead of the ball doesn't make any difference.
Nothing to do with it at all.
Because I always thought if we dropped you off a train in Dewsbury, you would probably land on the platform of Backley.
That's the ball.
You can jump backwards off a train, and you can jump backwards and still end up further ahead than where you actually jumped, can't you? Because of the speed with which the person's moving.
It's all physics. And I think, like Terry, I got an E in physics at school. I don't think Terry could even spell physics. He begins it with an F.
But again, warning signs, isn't that? Matty Smith been out for all those months since that pre-season friendly against Widnes, but he still manages to spot that gap, throw that ball.
Oh, and Hill again gets the offload away. Clark picks up the pieces. Ratchford now down the right-hand side. Finds Evans, but that was forward. That was more forward than the pass out wide from Matty Smith.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Clint Sherrod had a smile on his face this time. And there's an obstruction against Warrington for obstruction.
Jack Hughes stood in a block, tried to block big Alex Walmsley from getting to the kicker. Alex Walmsley gets off the line, tries to put pressure on Kirk Gidley, knowing it's the last player, trying to close it down. And there's the Evans pass that goes forward, attracts and isolates Mark Percival, tries to get Matty Russell free on that wing.
Two desperate sides we're watching here tonight. Desperate not to make a mistake, not to concede the first try. And here comes James Roby. He might be the X factor off the bench.
Well, they'll be hoping so. You know, Warrington have done some things pretty well in the opening 20 minutes for me. But the two aspects that they haven't done well, the two things they've done are when they're kicking the ball at the end of the sets. We've seen Kevin Brown kick the ball over the dead ball line. There they've conceded a penalty on a kick. They're not quite managing to apply that finishing touch to all the hard work that's taking place.
Well, that's a loose pass.
And a knock on then by Darrell Clark.
Zeb Taya, only been at the club a matter of weeks. He's given the job of ramping that ball up. Luke Douglas is in the vicinity and decides he doesn't want anything to do with it. A mistake happens and Warrington, just about on halfway line, will possibly get the first attacking set of the game.
James Child doesn't want to be chatting all night to Chris Hill or anybody else about his decisions. Hardesfield have clawed 6 points back against Leeds. You probably saw that go through the bottom of your screen.
Well, Adam Walker on the par, that's a red alert now for Warrington. Likes to offload the ball. Saints getting some decent quick ruck speed there. He's got good feet, hasn't he, Louis McCarthy, for a big fella.
Lee finds Smith. Smith to Farge. Farge then hurriedly finds Percival. And Percival cutting through the defence. Good job that Hill and Clark were there. They hold the St Helens centre 10 metres away. Here now is Louis McCarthy's guard, but Makinson over the top. He finds Jack Owens. Owens cuts inside, but Toby King is there with Brown.
It was a slow looping ball over the top to Jack Owens.
Last
the
tackle.
Pressure here.
Kick from Matty Smith. Goes high. Knocked down. Still the last. If Wilkin gets this out, they're in trouble. Well, he got the ball out, but Matty Russell was the grateful recipient.
Again, it needs great defence on the try line for Warrington. Tony Smith's men getting off the line. Kevin Brown, first of all, putting an awful lot of pressure on Saints. Saints offload the ball straight into Matty Russell's hand, and Mike Cooper on the last play. They're not sitting back, but they just need to get away from their try line. Keep defending near the line sooner or later.
Huddersfield have turned that game around against the Leeds Rhinos. 12-10 now to the Giants. And Gidley taking some water, needing it. Brown with the kick down the centre of the field. And Makinson will return this ball. Only though as far as Darrell Clark. Copybook tackle from the Warrington hooker.
Well,
Here's Owens.
It was difficult for Kevin Brown to find any space then. The back three, Tommy Makinson, Jack Owens, Adam Swift had all dropped back, cutting down those field position and them options for Kevin Brown. Kyler Moore's on the field now here.
So is Roby. Here is Walker. So Kieran Cunningham is shifting things around, switching players about, trying to prise open this Warrington defence. Wilkin, little show and go to Amor, took the tackle. Last one though, they're only just over halfway, the Saints. Roby back to Smith. Smith with the kick, and that'll be off the post pad and into the arms of Ratchford.
That's a good
Here's
chase,
Matty Russell.
Well, they know they've got to cut down on that man, Matty Russell. Stefan Ratchford, look at the intelligence that he's got, organising at the back, bringing players on. A big, long, wide pass to Johnson, trying to get outside of those tight defenders for Saints. That's what they've missed, Eddie.
Well, didn't they have a lot of success when they had players running from dummy half like Ratchford and Russell and Clark, all making 10, 15 metres, finding a quick play of the ball? Teams have been able to prevent that a little bit this season with Warrington. As a result, I think within a quick play of the ball, they're struggling to find a way to win matches.
Here is Hughes, though, as Warrington move forward with Evans. Evans taking on Theo Farge. Russell on the last here. Gidley will hoist this high.
There's some pressure from Brown.
Makinson is there, and that's a good tackle from Brown.
Good pressure, disciplined. He called for that on the inside. He set off as soon as that ball hit the foot of Gidley. And again, look at the way that they're hunting in defence. The marker defence for Warrington has been special. Look at the pressure that they're doing. They're knowing that they're hunting from the inside. As soon as the Saints player, they pass that ball. Coming up with some big efforts in defence.
Amor plays the ball to Roby. Farge. Zebtea gets it away back to Farge. Little Frenchman tries to get away from the Welshman, Rhys Evans, but can't. And they're still trapped 30 metres away from their own line here, the Saints on the last tackle. It's a charge down. Well, it sometimes comes up for Westerman and sometimes it doesn't, and they've just gifted St Helens an extra set.
We saw him in the World Club Challenge. He set up the first try with a charge down. There was no kick pressure from Saints when Warrington put up that high kick, but there you go, Matty Smith right in the eye line. Joe Westerman, who I think has been one of the best forwards in the Warrington colours so far in 2017.
Well, he applied the pressure, but he gave the ball back inadvertently to the Saints, and that's why Roby has it after tackle number 4. He'll get up and play the ball to Wilkin, who'll find Kyle Amor, and he gets the arms free and gives it back to Roby. Roby then finds Matty Smith, tries to skip away from Westerman, can't do that. Will play the ball to Roby. Roby then to Theo Farge. Farge will hoist this high to the corner. The chase is on here, and Ratchford's underneath it. Takes it brilliantly.
Again, well taken, wasn't it? No respect for his body when he goes up for that ball. He knows his job as the fullback is to go up, contest for that ball and make sure that he comes up with it. Look at that. Doesn't really look at what's happening with the likes of Mark Percival putting pressure on him.
What's more impressive about Ratchford for me is the fact that it's almost 6 months since he's played a game, and yet his timing both in attack and defence seems spot on. Really, really impressive comeback game.
Now then, there's something here for Warrington, perhaps with Toby King. Momentarily, they had a 2-on-1 overlap down the left-hand side. Hull are leading against Wigan. Highlights available at full time. Don't forget of all the matches being played elsewhere tonight, and indeed this one. High kick from Warrington again. Makinson's underneath this. This time the chase is a little more laboured. Brad Dwyer gets to Makinson, who fights for his feet, plays the ball. Wilkin over the top of Owens. He finds Adam Swift in centre field. Ashton Sims is out there now for Warrington.
He's the super sub, isn't he? Brad Dwyer, 70 appearances in that tackle for the Warrington club. Just started 7 games, loves to get it out from dummy half, got so much speed.
And he's tenacious, clamping the ball to the body of Zeb Taylor, couldn't get the offload away. Roby in centre field to Amor, takes on Westerman. Legs come up from Dwyer's pull, and St Helens get another penalty. 28 minutes, nearly 29 minutes gone, 0-0. This is Warrington Saints. It's normally about 16 all at this stage.
Yeah, well, just as he's trying to build pressure, Eddie, from the defence, the sub Brad Dwyer just lifts up Kyle Amor, knowing now that they've gifted the opposition maybe 20 metres. Saints just taking the time. They're all congregated, talking about what they want to do in this next set of 6. Mark my words, Matty Smith will be leading this set now. Good field position, close to Warrington's line, telling players where he wants them.
Indeed, this set starts 25 metres away. Louis McCarthy-Scars will be the first run. The long hair flowing behind him. Down he goes, 22 metres away now. It's with Kyle Amor. Down the middle with Amor, and Brown and Cooper and Dwyer eventually get him down. This is a great chance for St Helens to get the first points of the evening with Roby. Back he comes to Smith. Smith then to Farr. Short ball from him to Morgan. Rhys Evans and Kurt Gidley were waiting and they sprung the trap. Roby now. Oh, a nice little feint from Roby down to the in-goal area. The ball has come free, I think, off Matty Russell. And it could be a try for Zeb Taylor, perhaps.
Got no try.
Before they've got no try in the field. They're going to have to check the grounding. And I think, did I hear James Child say that he thinks it's a goal line dropout, that Warrington grounded the ball in the goal?
He does. He think, well, certainly him and the touchers both think that Matthew Russell has grounded the ball in goal, which would obviously give a goal line dropout. We'll check the onside first. All the chasers are onside. And what happens at the other end? Does he ground the ball correctly? He has to have downward pressure. Well, he hasn't grounded it yet. Hasn't grounded it yet, I don't think. Certainly can't see from that side. What does the other angle tell us? So he knocks the ball backwards. Can't ground it with his knee. Where's the touch? That's a try.
It is a try for Zeb Taylor. It is a try for Zeb Taylor on the evidence of those pictures we've just seen.
But there's no grounding at all there. He goes to pick the ball up. You've got to deliberately ground the ball now. And certainly his hands aren't on it there. His knee touches it, so you can't ground it with your knee. See the same thing there. Nothing in contact with the ground. Certainly not deliberate. A deliberate grounding. And Zeb Taylor is the first man to the ball. The ball's still live. There's the touch. That's a try.
Robert Hicks is the video referee. He has had a good look at all this. Has the deadlock been broken on half an hour? Do Saints take the lead? Yes, they do. First try for St Helens for Zeb Taylor. The one-time New Zealand international, now a Cook Islands international. He had an outstanding year last year. 5 tries, his best return for 8 seasons in the NRL, and he has nudged St Helens ahead.
Well, it's not a set piece. James Roby just gets on from dummy half. He fakes the goal one way, comes back, drops it onto his boot, knowing that he's got 3 players on the short side that are pushing up. Warrington have got to account for those players, and Matty Russell, he's sat back, and it looks so easy for people sat at home for what Matty Russell's got to deal with. All he's got to do is pick it up or maybe get rid of it into the dead ball area. He's got so many things going on. As well, he's got to contend with that man, Zeb Taylor.
Well, Zeb Taylor's try, and here is a big decision by coach Kieran Cunningham. Mark Percival retains the kicking duties, despite the fact that Matty Smith is now back in this St Helens side. So Percival with 10 goals to his name, and 4 from 4 in a 2018 win at Warrington last August. And it's 1 from 1 here tonight, and St Helens lead by 6 points to 0.
Well, it's lovely play from the hooker. He's just entered the fray, James Roby. He feints to go to the open side. There's actually more defenders than there are attackers. When teams are attacking their opponents, they're looking for an overload of attackers, but there was more than enough personnel to sort that out. But unfortunately, Matty Russell, he makes a mistake, but he's there, Zeb Taylor, and he's got the first try for St Helens.
Am I right in thinking that they look the most likely and have looked the most likely to score tonight?
Probably because they've had so much possession, so close to the opponent's line. It'd be fascinating to know what was said amongst the Warrington players. They've played well by their standards this season for 30 minutes. They've missed very few tackles and they've not had many chances, but they're still in this fight. Whether the heads drop now, very often we see that with teams when low on confidence, conceded early at the points the first time, and it can tend to dent them. It'll be interesting in the next 2 or 3 minutes how they respond.
This is Kyle Amor. Next week we will see St Helens at one of the form teams of the Super League. They beat Castleford Tigers last week for the first time this year. Salford Saints next week.
Again, Eddie, it's just like a mistake, isn't it, when you're carrying the ball, giving the ball away or giving a penalty away. Here, you've got to make sure that you clear the ruck, you're disciplined in that area, because this is where you want to defend. This is where you can work as a unit. You can afford to be a touch tighter than where you're going to be defending now, because you've got to start spreading the defenders out.
Well, Salford St Helens will be followed next Friday by Leeds against Wigan. Next Friday, 7:30, Sky Sports 2. And everything good comes in threes. Catalans against Wakefield on Saturday, April the 1st. Sky Sports 3. Barry and Terry will be on duty then because it's April Fool's Day.
Wait.
This is Amor.
Don't answer the phone.
And Hull have streaked into a 12-0 lead against Wigan. Wigan who have their injury problems, but Hull looking to capitalise on their Wembley success of 2016. Going well for Lee Radford. Here is Roby. Roby finds Wilkin, and Farge gets away from Gidley quite easily and finds Percival. Percival slips the pass back to Farge. Theo Farge finds Matty Smith. The kick from Matty Smith is invitation for Jack Owens. He'll score if he's got this down. I think they're going to refer this upstairs. No, they're not. The try is given.
It's a good try, Eddie.
And it's come about as a result of a brilliant kick from Matty Smith. And that's what Kieran Cunningham has been wanting all season. Somebody in the scrum half role to push the team around, get the kicking game on the very front foot, and that's exactly what Matty Smith has produced here. And he has got the try for Jack Owens, going on the back of his match winner against Catalan last week.
Some good offloads here from Saints. It's Roby who jumps out. A series of passes. He does well to ride that tackle, Theo Farge. But when Mark Percival comes back inside, he offloads the ball. There's a bit of thinking time here for Matty Smith. He holds the ball, sees the space, puts the ball into the space, and Jack Owens pops up, puts the ball down for a try.
Because they've got all the field position, they look like they've got plenty in the tank, don't they? They've not been challenged, and look at the time that Matty Smith has to kick that ball, and Jack Owens just the confidence to pick it up, score in the corner, but look at the weight on that kick.
Well,
it's
two
perfect.
tries from 2 kicks. The first you had a degree of luck involved in it, but this is like a hole-in-one where he puts it invitingly there for the right winger to pounce on. 2 quick tries on the back of penalties conceded by Warrington, which have allowed them again the opportunity to put those dangerous kicks in.
Well, while we were watching that replay and those replays of Jack Owens' try, I was looking at some of the faces on the Warrington Wolves players. There is anxiety etched across each and every one of those faces. Some furrowed brows. They're in a bad place at the moment, I think. They need something special to kickstart them.
When you're not in the winner's circle and things are going against you, you're looking around for someone to inspire you. You just need someone to kickstart that with one win.
Oh, this isn't bad. Oh, in off the upright.
And you said give it to Matty Smith, Eddie.
I didn't. I just say it's an interesting decision from Kieran Cunningham, but he knows what he's doing. I wouldn't know what I'm doing and telling people what to kick and all that business, but he does. And Tony Smith and Richard Agar have got a problem or two to solve again.
Well, it's worth giving the penalties away, not getting to the kicks again. I think that's earned them. Featured it last night. The completion rates in the games that they've lost in around 50% to early 60s. You can't win games like that. You cannot turn the ball over, complete to 50-60%. Almost when you hear coaches talk, Eddie, you'd always say about 75-80% they'll win your games.
But there are coaches who will not have anything to be said about completion rates. They don't believe in it.
Well, I'd rather attack than defend.
Walker again for Saints. 12-0 they lead. just trying to think, have Warrington really threatened the St Helens line yet tonight?
No, they've been coming away from their own line all evening. And it is about possession, it is about how high your completion rates are, but it is also about where you're playing your ball and how many times you threaten the line of your opponents.
Here goes Mark Percival, he's broken through. He has Adam Swift for support. Gets the ball to Adam Swift. Russell falls over, and Adam Swift goes across for the third St Helens try. We've waited a while for this game to take a light in terms of try scoring, and we have had now 3 tries in 5 minutes for the Saints. Crisis. Well, I'm afraid it might be now for Warrington, because they're facing an 18 disadvantage as we go to half-time if the kick is good.
Eddie, I'm a big fan of that left edge for St. Adam Swift. Said earlier, strong on his kick return from Mark Percival. When Mark Percival gets this ball from Zebtaya, he's got good footwork, steps off his left. He averages 2 clean breaks per game. And just look at the way that he draws Stefan Ratchford in. Adam Swift's been chased down by Matty Russell, but just again backs himself, backs up his centre, and just look at that, nice and composed, transfers it into 2 arms, and Adam Swift does all the rest.
And you mentioned the word anxiety. I think it was anxiety that made Rhys Evans bite in. He wasn't supposed to go for Zebtaya. When Zebtaya releases the player outside him, it's because there's an overread by Rhys Evans. They're frightened for what's going to happen, Warrington, at the minute. They're trying to fix things that they're not supposed to be responsible for fixing. And Tony Smith, when he gets his team inside, will have to say, trust your defenders, trust the people around you, fix up the things that you're responsible for, and it'll make the job a heck of a lot easier.
Well, Adam Swift is playing his 99th game for St Helens tonight. He's just recorded his 3rd try of the season. He got a try last week against the Catalan Dragons, 17 tries last year. And a young man who is quite deadly when he gets the opportunity on the flank for the Saints. And for the first time this year, I hear when the Saints go marching in from the terraces here at St Helens home ground, as Percival tries to maintain his 100% record with the boot, and does. 18-0, the Saints lead. 3 tries in 5 minutes. We're 3 minutes away from the half-time siren, and Warrington in a hole.
Well, it's fascinating. Warrington have got enough players with enough experiences in games behind them to have been in matches where they've been 18 points behind with over half of the game still to play. They've got enough time to get back and win the match. Do they have enough character here? This is a brilliant test to see. They've had a lot of success over the last decade. They got to both major finals last year, but this is now the ultimate test for 2017 in my eyes.
I know the word Brisbane is now banned in the Warrington dressing rooms and all around the town of Warrington. What on earth has happened to Warrington since they performed so magnificently in the World Club Series against the Broncos?
Well, it was for one half, Eddie, if we're honest, wasn't it? It was 24-6 at half-time. In the second half, I think they failed to score a single try. Maybe landed a penalty goal in that match, but that was all they did, wasn't it? They had a brilliant 40 minutes. But that can happen in this sport. You need a purple patch. If it lasts for 10 or 15 minutes and you can rack up 3 or 4 tries, then you can see all of a sudden you put 18 points on the board.
Well, they have to find... Is that a high shot from Mike Cooper in the face of Amor? No. They have to find their form. They have to find their confidence quickly, Warrington. At the moment, it seems light years away. Matty Smith, game management down the line. Great kick, because Ratchford almost had to run this ball out under pressure from Owens, who was coming in.
He looks at it, he thinks about it, and just lets it go. And I think that's where Warrington are. They're begging for the half-time. They need to sit down, reassess. It's a good kick from Matty Smith. Well weighted, well measured. But you'd expect Stefan Ratchford to pick that up 9 times out of 10.
Well, teams often talk about how many play the balls they've had inside the opposition 20. I guess it's a degree of being in a great attacking position. St Helens have had 14, Warrington just 1. Just 1 play the ball close to opponent's line. Now, I know you can score a try from the own end of the field, but they don't happen quite as often. Generally, you get closer and you get away over the line. And Warrington just haven't had that opportunity.
And that's all about pressure, isn't it, Phil? And they're not building enough pressure.
Well, on Facebook Live, prior to the start of tonight's match, Salford are 26-0 up against Widnes. Stephen Broomhead, who is the chairman of the Warrington Wolves Club, said on camera to Angela Powers on Facebook Live that the Warrington Wolves have complete confidence in coach Tony Smith. I would hate to say that that is a vote of confidence from the board, but Stephen Broomhead seems quite assured that he will get it right in the end.
Tony Smith's a very good coach. Wherever he's been, he's performed. He's lifted silverware, he's turned on this Warrington side. He's done a very good job over these years. So I'm just sure it's just the time that they're going through as Brad Dwyer.
This is a chance for them now. This is Brad Dwyer. Awful play the ball, but Westerman is allowed to carry on. Here now is Brown, fires the pass to Gidley. Gidley then goes wide to Ratchford. Ratchford wide to Evans. And that's a wonderful tackle from Percival. And the coach is on his way down to deliver a very difficult team talk at half-time. His won't be quite so hard, Kieran Cunningham, because 3 tries in 5 minutes have turned this game round, and he has his little general out there now in the shape of Matty Smith, whose kick produced the try for Owens on 34 minutes. Either side of Owens' try, we had the first ever St Helens try from Zeb Tyre, and then Adam Swift's try 4 minutes from half-time. Percival has been perfect with the boot, 100%, 3 from 3, and St Helens are 18-0 up as the players leave for the dressing rooms at half-time. Oh, a nice little feint from Roby, taps to the in-goal area. The ball has come free, I think, off Matty Russell. Matty Smith. The kick from Matty Smith is in rotation for Jack Owens. He'll score if he's got this down.
It's back, and the best place to enjoy all the action is with us on Sky Sports Formula 1 tomorrow. The Australian Grand Prix qualifying from 5 a.m. and then on Sunday, the big event itself, the Australian Grand Prix, 4:30 a.m. Sky Sports Formula 1 channel. What a start to the Formula 1 season. What a game we have here in the Betfred Super League. Warrington Wolves, chasing their first win of the season, have the biggest of mountains to climb in the second 40 minutes. 3 tries in 5 minutes see St Helens leading 18 points to 0. Taya, Owens and Swift for the home side. Just an update on the other scores. There was a latest at the DW Stadium, a 10-minute delay in the kickoff between first place Wigan and third place Hull because of traffic issues. Hull now leading 18 points to 0. Michaels, Kelly and Connor with the tries. Salford, well, 6 tries they've recorded so far against Widnes. Lamatasi and Ben Murdoch-Vasilla amongst the try scorers, celebrating their new contracts, and Leeds lead 18-12 at half-time. Huddersfield did lead 12-10 at one point, but late tries from Carl Ablett and Matt Parcell have given the visitors a lead. Right, Kieran Cunningham, you would imagine, would be a satisfied coach at half-time. He has Matty Smith back, and he has a very healthy lead as they chase their 3rd win of the season. Well, if that's a happy dressing room, what are the thoughts of this dressing room and Tony Smith, as he has seen his side hold Saints scoreless for the first 30 minutes, but then collapse in a 5-minute period in the last 10 minutes of that half, and now they have an 18 lead to try and claw back. Now, John Wells, pre-game with Barry McDermott in the studios. We look back at some of the greatest Super League fixtures between St Helens and Warrington, and there were some memorable matches, many of them featuring the St Helens side of the early 2000s, the team that loved to throw the ball around, the entertainers. The fans here at the Totally Wicked Stadium, you feel, are crying out for that again. We got glimpses of it, John, in that first half, which will no doubt please them.
More than we have seen in the opening five or six rounds in Super League and any of the pre-season games as well. I thought St Helens, and you reference those games, funny because the assistant coach is Sean Long and the coach is Kieran Cunningham, two of the main protagonists. I mean, here's the first example. How often have you seen this at all in Super League in the last 5 years? Playing straight off the tap, getting to the other side of the field, really stretching that Warrington defence. The thing is that they're enjoying themselves, they're playing, they are asking questions. Have a look at this one. So, you know, again, second phase play stuff. You were not going to see this 2 weeks ago. Have a look at the effect it has on the defenders, the adjustments they have to make now because this ball's kept alive. It's extra yardage, it's extra energy burnt by this Warrington defence. You keep asking questions, you ask enough of those questions, and you are diligent enough in where on the field you ask those questions. At some point, Warrington are going to fail with the answers to one of those questions. That one pulled back for forward. It's a line ball call. I was unlucky, I think. Given the way that the game had been going, I think, you know, St Helens deserved the score before. They deserved the breakthrough before. Call
didn't go their way. Warrington had the answers for the first 30 minutes for most of the things that were thrown at them in attack by St Helens. But as you said, you keep getting the pressure and the questions asked, you will eventually crack. And Warrington did crack eventually in spectacular fashion.
Yeah. This is what we were saying, haven't we? Sat this stadium 2 weeks before the Wakefield Trinity game, and they lost against Wakefield Trinity, and we were discussing in the studio and talking about what was wrong with this St Helens attack with ball in hand, that they were jittery, that we just wanted them to relax and play like the fans know they can, and like we know they can as well. Warrington did a really good job in defence. There's a couple of points to pick up on here because there is hope for Warrington. They are down on the scoreboard, they're down heavily. But the things that they do, the systems that they have are still in place. They're being stretched, and they are, I guess, energy and fatigue and a lack of confidence is compounding to lead to scores on the board against them. But have a look at the bits of interplay here. So Gidley still, you know, there's the things that happen in this defensive line that are still worth picking up on. Positive points, good line reads. The problem is what happens off the back of this. This was adjudged on the field as a no try by James Child, overturned. Worth taking a look at why. One, there is no grounding of the ball by Matty Russell, but just to clear this up, there's no intention there either from Matty Russell to ground the ball. Matty Russell is trying at the very best to scoop the ball away or pick that up and try and attempt to get out the in goal. So just worth leaving that on there just to illustrate the point.
Okay, 31 minutes in, 6-0 to St Helens, courtesy of that Zebtea try. They came shortly afterwards, just 2 minutes later, with a Jack Owens. It's the nature of this try that you want to tie this up with your first point. And it's St Helens at their very best. It's St Helens from yesteryear.
Yeah, it brings us full circle, if you like, for our look at this first half. We had to wait. I was getting a little nervous at the 30-minute mark.
I was getting nervous for you as well.
That we might not have an awful lot to show, but yeah, they've done really well. The cumulative stuff, making contact, playing. I think Percival's had a stellar season so far. 4 tries in the last 3 games and plenty of that as well. And once it gets into Matty Smith's hands, you see how quickly he makes that decision. He's seen what's happened to this defensive line. Come up, come in, come out of position. All the talk in the week was about this man and what he could do and what he could offer and how he could ignite St Helens. Well, in the end, it hasn't been all about Matty Smith. It's been about that ethos, that willingness to relax and to play like we know they can. That's the icing on the cake. The vision, the weight on the kick's perfect. It's put on a plate there for Owens, after which the swift try came. Fully deserved the lead.
Point are gone 0 in a game they were hoping to get their win of the Super League season in. No, it's been all St Helens so far. The Warrington Wolves have got 40 minutes to dig themselves out of a hole. Join us for that after a very short break.
Players emerging for the second half of our Super League Friday. St Helens 18, Warrington Wolves 0 is the half-time score. People scratching their heads. What on earth has happened to Warrington this year? Top try scorers last year, 150. They had the meanest defence, 95 tries conceded. In 2017, 13 tries scored, 27 now shipped in 5.5 rounds. Tony Smith, 8 years at the helm. This is his first real crisis. He lost 5 in a row with Leeds in July and August 2006. Lost the first 15 at Huddersfield in 2001. But can he turn the tide in 2017 against St Helens here tonight? Ratchford gets us underway for the second half. Makinson is underneath the kickoff. Kyle Amor will take it forward into the chest of Ashton Sims. A big hill, Terry, for Warrington to climb in this second half.
It is, Eddie. They need some space, they need some time. They've still got enough architects to break down this Saints defence, but they need to score, I reckon, in the opening 15 minutes. They need to build some pressure. They didn't do that in the first half. You look at the way that Saints have played the game. They had 86 play the balls in that first half. 63 of those were sent to field. They didn't shift it for shifting its sake. They brought Warrington down, they ground them down, and all of a sudden, when they needed to score, they come up with 3 tries.
Walker will get to his feet and play the ball here to Roby, who finds his captain, John Wilkin. Wilkin manages to get the ball away, but scruffily, Roby. Owen Roby passed the ball. He was on his knees, but the referee obviously thought that he had grounded his ball-carrying arm.
Is that not a penalty then?
Tells him to go back and play the ball again.
Well, it's a new interpretation. It's been in for about 4 years now. The referee's called held as he's passed the ball, so he's giving it back to play again.
And that's what he's done now to John Wilkin. And there's Matty Smith. That could be out on the full. It is. Well, that is Matty Smith's first black mark.
Eddie, and that comes around because of the pressure from Brad Dwyer. Look at him. He's getting in his eye line. He's shot out from the marker position.
Was he going for a 40-20, do you think?
I don't think so. I think Tez is right. He's cutting the time off. All the time he's heading towards Matty Smith, Brad Dwyer. He gives him no angle to go at, and eventually the ball goes out on the full.
Well, this is a good place for Warrington to start their set of 6 in this second half. And then in possession there with Brown, who gives it to Ashton Sims. Ashton Sims tries to go round Kyle Amor. Can't. Dwyer, here's Brown again. And Brown looks for the runners. It's Jack Hughes. For a 3 there to cut him off at the pass. And Dwyer gets it into centre field to Gidley. Gidley will attack the line and then find Brown. Brown then gives it to Westerman, who tries to spin out of the would-be tackle of McCarthy Scarsbrook. Roby finished him off. Here's Brown again. This now Gidley. Warrington on the ball. Just the start they wanted. Second half.
Perfect start, isn't it, for Warrington? Joe Westerman with the big crash, the big go-through. Lands on his front, plays the ball very quickly. Kevin Brown straight in at dummy half and recognises that Saints are on the back foot. And that man, Kurt Gidley, all the experience he's got in the world. One of those players that'll be hurting where the position that Warrington are in.
His first try of the season, Kurt Gidley.
Well, here's Matty Smith's mistake, his first mistake of the evening. But it's the response and reaction and the urgency, ultimately, that gets Warrington Wolves over the try line. Kevin Brown jumps in, he supplies the pass. A bit of a basic mistake and a basic error from Adam Walker, whose ball watching isn't aware of the support runner on the outside. And the first try by Kurt Gidley.
Improved by Stephen Ratchford. Warrington are back in at 18-6.
What is it you say, Eddie? Never write off the Wolves. Do you know what? 18-6. This is not very few people thought that Wakefield could come back from being behind last night against Lee. In fact, I think there's less people that even believe that Warrington had a chance. But with that early try, look, they've a spring in the step. They've given a lifeline here to get back into this match. And it'll be interesting to see if they can really get on a roll.
Right, let's go down to the sideline. Angela Powers with the halftime news.
Thanks, Eddie. The message from Kieran Cunningham's dressing room was to carry on as they did in the first half. They completed high in that half and made Warrington come out of their own end, which they need to continue in this half. There's little lapse of discipline maybe at the first half of this game and the very end of the last few minutes of the first half. So discipline is important, concentration is important, and keep their focus. From Tony Smith's point of view, he'll be delighted with the start from this. He was reflecting on the fact that the tries came in in a 9-minute spell for St Helens. And if they can score 3 tries in 9 minutes, imagine what can happen in 40 minutes in this half. Just got to keep the field position, work on field position, and need to improve in their defence as well, obviously. But it's about focus, about discipline, and about belief.
Thanks, Ange. Maybe Tony Smith's watch is a bit slow because we made it 3 tries in 5. But anyway, 3 tries in 9 for Tony Smith. Doesn't matter, it was 3 tries.
Well, a sloppy start from that kick-off for Saints, who give the penalty away. Adam Walker offside,
and he was about 3 or 4 metres offside as well.
And then Warrington get down the other end of the park on the back of that penalty, and then they make a mistake. That's the frustration. They'll be creeping in now to Warrington, but 12 points in front, Saints. I'm sure there'll be some Saints players looking at the players that they're playing against, thinking, come on, this game's not over yet, lads.
Widnes 4, Salford 30. Widnes obviously suffering with injury at the moment, and Salford with a new contract for coach Ian Watson, playing on top of their game. And there are a couple of players in the sin bin, I believe, at Huddersfield and Leeds. Danny Brough is in the sin bin, and Carl Ablett is in the sin bin for the Leeds Rhinos. So a bit of a fiery encounter at the John Smith Stadium. Here, Warrington first score of this second half, and importantly 2 from their point of view. Roby is the dummy half for Saints. He goes high off the boot of Matty Smith, well claimed by Ratchford, and immediately clobbered by Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook.
But again, Eddie, good kick pressure from Warrington. Enthusiasm is a buzzword within your team. It's followed by actions, or if it's followed by actions, that's what it looks like. You get to collect the ball on your own terms. You get to work the ball away from your own line. If you, as the ball carrier, have support runners, as we say, that Rhys Evans is a lone ranger there carrying the ball up. If you've got support runners, you're a difficult proposition then.
So Darrell Clark has lost the ball forwards. It's 0 tackle. And now he gets a penalty, does Kyle Amor. And I think, was that something that Kurt Gidley said out of turn to referee James Child?
No, he runs at him. He is offside. He is offside. He chooses to run at the offside player, not the other way around. That's it. Walk away. Walk away.
I think there was something said.
Yeah, I think Kurt Gidley's querying the decision for, or saying that Kyle Amor was in an offside position when Clark ran at him. James Child was saying, well, he chose to run at him, and that Kyle Amor was trying to get out of the way. That was the basis for the discussion and the penalty.
Fair enough, and you can always query what the referee's decision is. It's just the manner in which you choose to query it.
Approach the referee, and the tone of your voice as well.
Is that why you conceded so many penalties? Here is Theo Farge, gets the ball away to Zeptea. Gidley, this time getting the tackle in with Rhys Evans, and then holding down, interference. Rhys Evans is picked out by referee James Child.
Well, Matty Smith saying, should we go for 2 points here? Again, as soon as that penalty's awarded, he's just taking control of the situation.
And they're going to go for the 2 that's on offer.
I don't think he asked, I think he told. James Roby is the man closest to the ball. He was looking at Matty Smith. I said it before the game, he'll have such an influential role, whether he touches the ball or not. All actions, all eyes, all the noise and communication will go through Matty Smith.
Interesting that Matty Smith called the shots. John Wilkin is the captain.
He would be the midfield general. A captain, Jamie Peacock was captain for Great Britain. I dare say he didn't call when teams were going to go for 2 or not. He led with his actions, and I think Matty Smith has been given the role of being the midfield general, deciding where we're going to play, how we're going to play, what we do when we get in specific areas of the pitch, and how we're going to implement the game plan that Kieran Cunningham sets out with.
Barry, you'll have dodged national service, but the generals outrank captains. I think they possibly do. Certainly in this game, anyway.
Well, John Wilkin will be happy that someone like Matty Smith is helping him with the decision. It's all the pressure's not resting on his shoulders. He can play his own game.
Big kick this if it takes it to 14, Eddie.
Yes, it is. Means Warrington have to score 3 times again. He's pushed it the wrong side of the post this time and doesn't get it dead. And so Westerman can bring the ball back into the field of play. First miss from Percival tonight. Referee shouts held. Saints have got to let him go. Toby King plays the ball.
Get the previous from that quick play of the ball, he gets out, spots that Matty Smith isn't set, he isn't squirt. He goes at him and then obviously gets the penalty.
So Toby King takes it forward on the first tackle this set. Here is Ashton Sims. Warrington will feel that they played their get-out-of-jail card there with that miss from Mark Percival. Kevin Brown in centre field for the Wolves. A fumble by Kurt Gidley. Well, he will be furious with himself.
You don't see that, do you? One of the most experienced players, Kurt Gidley. See, just has a little look up at Zeb Taylor, who's in front of him at the line from Warrington. He had options inside and out. Kevin Brown goes out wide to that man, Kurt Gidley.
And it is Zeb Taylor as well, isn't it? As he's been running at Kurt Gidley all evening. 6'3", 6'4", probably 105, 6 kgs, running direct at him, taking some juice out of his tank. But Kurt Gidley, at 34, very experienced player, had a wonderful match in the World Club Challenge that we keep harping on about. He needs to be better than that.
Adam Swift takes it forward for the Saints, who lost here to Warrington last year, 4 points to 26. Saints then were in the middle of a form slump. They were 26-0 down after 8 minutes of the second half. The absent Johnny Lomax tonight, he saved the nilling for them. This is Walmsley, that's a solid run.
We've got some props in Super League now who are trying to then flash players across the back of ruck, and we saw Fafita last night, Walmsley tonight.
And Amor carries the battle forward for Saints here, and Chris Hill is almost ripping the shorts from his left leg. Here now is Matty Smith, who finds Taya, gets it away to Percival. Rhys Evans was alert, pulls him down. Roby shoots in a dummy half. Taya with a kick. Was that played up by Warrington? Whose head and feet is this? No, Warrington. Ball played the man, not the other way round.
They didn't make a play for this, Eddie. The speed from dummy half from Saints. They go out, give it Zeb Taylor. He's kicked the ball straight ahead at Kurt Gidley. It's ricocheted off his knee, goes straight out into touch.
He was advancing towards the player, though, Stuart.
Well, he's just stood still, isn't he? He hasn't put his leg out, he hasn't moved the leg towards the ball, and that will have encouraged the officials to give him any benefit that there might have been in the doubt of the decision.
And Kurt Gidley and Warrington will not be disputing that call, that is for sure. Russell goes down, first tackle. Nearly 11 minutes of the second half gone. Warrington with first blood in this second half. Don Crosby back in the side after missing the last 3. Brave little run from Jack Johnson. Clark. Typical trademark run from him. Flicked backwards by Kevin Brown. Play on. Chris Hill first to react. They're just like a luxury car at the moment, Warrington, aren't they, that are misfiring on a few cylinders. What can Gidley do here? Can he get the hand free and get the ball away? No, he can't. He goes down on the 5th tackle. Plays the ball to Clark. Brown and Hughes. Nice kick from Hughes. Good weight on this. Good weight on this from Hughes. And then he pushes Tommy Makinson into the advertising hoardings, and James Charles has a little word on the run with him.
I think Kevin Brown's asking too much there from Jack Hughes. Pressure, running at full speed to put in a delicate and accurate kick. I'm surprised that the halfback, Kevin Brown himself, didn't decide to try and apply some pressure and kick that ball accurately and get it sit in that 7-metre in-goal area.
They just score from the DW Stadium. Hull are ahead 22 points to 0. A milestone night, though, for Mark Sneed. He has missed his first kick of 2017. But at 22-0, I suppose Lee Radford and he will say, who cares? Wilkin will take it over halfway for the Saints. In great form at the moment, Mark Sneed and Hull, but Wigan, they too doing it tough with injury. That was touched by Darrell Clark. 6 to go here. And this is Ryan Morgan. Tries to get away from Brown, and with the help from King, they eventually get Morgan to the deck. That's the 0 tackle. 30 in a row, 30 out of 30 for Mark Sneyd before that miss tonight, by the way. Roby 20 metres away. Wormsley straight into Westerman, big collision. Hill hanging on, could have been penalised. Roby, Smith, back it comes. Makinson, hauled down by Gidley and Evans. Penalty, it was coming because Warrington were desperate to slow them down. Take 2, says Kieran. Take 2 this time. Mark Percival.
Well, it is 5 metres closer to the post than the last effort.
Kennedy, that penalty comes about because Saints getting through the line, poking the nose through, landing on the front. Kirk Gidley just holding onto that leg. He knew that they could have been in trouble. It could have been 6 points if he would have got up and played that ball quickly.
St Helens support. Sorry, Terry. We watched this. St Helens supporters not happy with this decision. I saw some of them making the sign the coaches do, run it behind the post, booing the decision to take the 2 points. Surely, and it's Kieran Cunningham's call this time, surely the 2 points is more important than entertaining.
Well, that's why
the 2 points at stake tonight.
But that's why you fans, you turn up, you want to see tries scored, you want to be entertained.
But at the moment, when you're third bottom in the table, you get the victory first, you entertain second.
Kieran Cunningham looks at it a different way. That's what fans do.
Kieran wouldn't mind if they won by 1 point, as long as he gets the 2 competition points. Derek Traynor, Ian Talbot, all sat assessing this game, making decisions as they're going along. Maybe they want to capitalise on the opportunity and the missed conversion from a couple of minutes ago.
Well, here's his chance to make Warrington have to score 3 times to win the match in the last 25 minutes. He's found the mark this time. So 20 points to 6 it is. Yes, so many years they have been known as the entertainers, have the Saints. But in Super League this year, before tonight, 14 tries scored and 14 conceded. Tight, much tighter than in the past.
But you know, I'm a big fan of contested restarts here. I think there should be more challenges for possession in the game. Here's an opportunity. I think if they kick this ball deep here, then basically they're going to get what they've had for almost an hour. They need to try and find a way of getting the ball back in the opponent's half. I guess I'm going to be wrong here. He's going to kick it deep here. There's 25 minutes to go. But Warrington need the ball to get some points, to save this hopes of this season, in my eyes.
Yes, Phil, you're writing them off if they lose tonight. Writing their top 4 ambitions off anyway.
Well, they'd have to win about 13 of the next 17 remaining games, and that, to me, with the confidence that they're displaying tonight and the performance level, seems impossible.
14 points the gap. And if Warrington lose tonight, they will be well off the pace. They'll be at the bottom of the table still, of course. Doesn't matter whether they win, lose or draw here. They'll still be bottom of the table. But the thing is, this losing run will go on. And the likes of Castleford and Hull and Wigan, if they could get a win with their current injury problems, and it looks like that might be beyond them tonight. But they're putting a bit of daylight between themselves and the foot of the table. This is high from Ratchford. Oh, it's been claimed then by Makinson. He pinched it and then lost it.
How did he do that then? How did he do that, Tommy Makinson? I bet Stephen Ratchford was looking at the ball as he took it away from him. I thought for a second he was going to time his run to hit the fullback as he landed on the floor, but 60 metres the Saints side made when coming away from their own line. Tommy Makinson's been exceptional tonight.
I wonder why he let the ball go, because it was touched certainly by Ratchford. That would have been 6 to go.
He was trying to offload the ball to Ryan Morgan, though.
Well, probably, yes.
Probably heard a call from him, Eddie.
If he'd have held on, they would have had 6 more tackles, 5 metres out.
It was a brilliant piece of skill.
It was. Brown gets it wide to Harvey Levette. Levette to Toby King. It's a nice kick. This is going to stand in the in-goal area. Makinson with a bit of work to do here.
Well, that's a fabulous kick, wasn't it?
That's the quality again. We talked about him up the other end of the pitch. Tommy Makinson fulfills his role as a fullback at the other end. I'm looking forward to seeing George King get involved. I thought when Ryan Atkins wasn't available for this game, and Toby King came into this game, he offers something a little bit different. He's got that spark, he's got that creativity, and in open space, given half a chance, I'd expect something from the young man.
Yes, he's filling big shoes though, isn't he, in Ryan Atkins?
He's a different player than Ryan Atkins. Ryan Atkins is very brutal, bustling runner. You back him 9 times out of 10 to score that try 10 metres out. But I think that Toby King has a bit more about him, a bit more in his game.
Switch the direction of this kick. Oh, this is a bad one, I think. No, it isn't. It's all right. It's all right. Oh, you better get hold of this. Was he inside the 40 then? Was he inside the 40 then? He was. He was. Or did it hit a St Helens player on the way? No, it didn't. He was inside the 40.
Yeah, straight off with the boot.
And then, well, it looked like a shocker.
It looked like an untidy kick,
No,
didn't it?
nobody wants the ball.
Yeah, it looked like an untidy kick.
I think Warrington gave that away because they thought it was as bad as I did.
It's what they call a flapper.
Well, a flapper or not, John Wilkin has come up with a 40-20.
Look at that, he hits the belly of the ball, it goes up, it just comes down. Lands in the right spot for Saints.
And of course, it's not a scrum, it's a tap restart. So here we go. And that's Roby. Roby to Smith. Back it goes on the inside to Luke Douglas. St Helens now within 3 metres of the line, and it is with Wilkin who got the 40-20 away. Farge to Percival, tries to come inside Rhys Evans. He gives the ball away to Theo Farge again, and he's grounded by the massive figure of Chris Hill. Here now is Zeb Taylor. Roby waits
on that right edge there. Look at this.
Short ball to Amor. Good job that Ashton Sims had hold of him. Roby fires the pass to Wilkin. Wilkin then to Matty Smith. Dapped through by Matty Smith. Ratchford had read it perfectly.
And it was a long ball that out to Mark Percival. He was caught in 2 minds. Matty Smith, what to do with that play. Matty Russell comes in now, trying to gain those valuable metres as Warrington look to shift it and play it wide.
Here is that man, Toby King.
They're trying to play outside of defenders when defenders are there to get a penalty yet. Ryan Morgan holding on too long to Toby King. But they're shifting the ball, trying to get outside him. Saints are just pushing off.
But he's fighting for his feet, Toby King. I think that's why he gets the verdict.
And you want to see some fight, you want to see some effort.
He's missed the last 5 matches as Toby King, the Irish international. Trying to take his chance tonight with Atkins out. Clark showed it to Brown, gave it to Westerman instead. Westerman loops the pass to Hill. He comes wider to Hughes. Theo Farge is putting himself about defensively, isn't he?
He gets spotted up because he's one of the smallest men in the Saints team. So bigger fellas will run at him, trying to get over him for that quick play of the ball.
Oh, he battles above his weight, all right. This is Westwood. Brown to Gidley. Gidley then looks for the runner, it's Chris Hill. 4 tackles gone for Warrington, 2 remaining there, 11 metres away. As Brown puts the kick in early. And it has to be shuttled dead by Jack Owens.
Here we go. This is a game now, isn't it? Warrington have come to the party. Saints are under pressure. If you wipe out the 18-0 scoreline at half-time, this is a cracking match.
And another set of 6.
Yes, repeat sets. You never know. They're trying to find the formula. Brown, Ratchford and company.
Well, you look at that spine. Eddie Ratchford, Brown, Gidley, Clark. Obviously Brad Dwyer when he's on the field as well.
Well, they're in no hurry, St Helens.
Well, they've sent reinforcements onto that far side of the field. Dominic Peru has just come on. He hasn't made any contributions so far. But I think it's been obvious. Warrington passing the ball to their left, hoping to break through on that side, and reinforcements have just arrived.
Westerman takes it forward on the first tackle. We're in the last quarter of the match. Warrington need to score 3 times to win this. And here now is Jack Hughes. Again, Theo Farge putting himself about the little Frenchman. Knock on! Knock on by Jack Hughes, who disputes the call and disputes it in the wrong manner. Penalty. There's no question. It's a knock on.
Well, that's just the frustration that's creeping in now, isn't it?
Listen, the point is that's 2 penalties for his set. Two penalties for his set. That's the message. You know what it is. Sort it out.
2 penalties for dissent. James Child stamping his authority on the match.
You're down near Saints line, you've got them where you want them, and then all of a sudden a mistake goes against you and you talk out a turn and you give that penalty away. And
well, you can dispute a decision, but you have to dispute it in the correct manner. It's like the arguments you and I have every other day of the week, Teddy.
I probably think it's more important to get on with what's in front of you. He's not going to change his mind, and that's how
I was
brought through the game. He's not going to change his mind. Just crack on with your job and get on with defending whatever mistake you've made. Not necessarily me, Eddie.
No, I'm just saying that's how you were brought up, Barry. Well, I know it was how you were brought up, to talk properly to people, but you never disputed referee decisions. You just walked to the dressing room.
I was always guilty, that's why. Fair dues.
This is Roby now, and he finds Douglas, who finds Wilkin. That's a good kick from Wilkin, another cracker. Adam Swift is there. Adam Swift will score for St Helens, and Kieran Cunningham punches the air with delight. Adam Swift's second try. And Warrington will be going home 0 from 6, I think.
How strong is Adam Swift? Not only is he very quick, explosive speed, but so strong in the collision. He's hurt himself as well here. But the kick on the 4th play from John Wilkin, the intelligence again that he's got. You'll see that the space as Luke Douglas just tips it on to his captain. And you can see that there's pressure from Mark Percival, there's pressure from Adam Swift. And he just follows up this kick. Look at that, straight at the line, a couple of steps, he pulls up those defenders, and it's a well-weighted kick. But look at the strength and the effort to spin out of that tackle and ground the ball. Excellent play from the winger.
You know, I think John Wilkin has sacrificed his own game for the good of the team. He's been asked to play at half-back by his coach, Kieran Cunningham. He's playing in the second row tonight. He's playing in the back three. It's a lovely kick, lovely kick, but it's with his right foot. He's a left-footed kicker, puts it in with his right foot, and Adam Strong has gone over, scored that try and hurt his shoulder in the process.
He has. The Adam Swift is a strong man, is what you're trying to say. And he's hurt his shoulder in the process, you're right, and he's in a bit of pain. He won't want to leave the scene, though. And John Wilkin, his kicking game is magnificent tonight. He's got that wonderful 40-20.
He's got time.
His kicks in general play have been super.
He's got time, Eddie.
They hadn't scored a try from a kick until tonight. 14 tries, none of them involving kicks, but the accuracy of the delicate short ones, the one from Matthew Smith, and that one there from John Wilkin. Unfortunately, the kick's not gone over, but they've got such a lead here now. It's almost impossible to see them losing from this stage.
Well, in the old days, if anyone can, Warrington can, but maybe not tonight.
And it's the short and long kicking game. So I think it was James Roby in the first half, the short kick that he put into the corner, that set up a try. John Wilkin, the intelligence that he's got, knowing that the space behind, knowing that the Warrington defenders are up in the line.
Well, now we get the contested kick-off, but it's a little bit too deep just the same. And Ryan Morgan brings it back for the Saints. Well, this ground has been pretty kind to Warrington over recent years, but they have had their painful memory. Remember, they lost a cup semi-final here in 2014. But in terms of Super League meetings with the Saints on this new ground, I think I said it earlier on in the piece, they've only won here once, have St Helens, against Warrington, March 2015.
Eddie, you talked about the crowd a couple of minutes ago. They weren't happy when Kieran Cunningham and the players on the pitch chose to go for 2 points. Listen to them now. Yes. They appreciated that try. They can smell that with 15 minutes just over left on the clock, there's a few more tries to come.
Nice kick from Matty Smith. He encourages Ratchford to bring the ball back. Ratchford does, and then gives it to young Johnson.
He's looked good, Andy Johnson. Again, Matty Russell looking to shift the ball.
Kurt Gidley all wrapped up by Percival. Ratchford to Russell again.
You can't knock the effort, can you, from Warrington? They're all trying. Everyone's putting their hand up. Take this back because the referee's already called held.
You're right. It's not because they're not bothered. if anything, they're guilty of trying too hard. Sometimes they try to fix things and end up, they compound the mistake, compound the error, penalties. They're having a go here with a shift, but look at that goal.
What a hit. Mark Percival on Rhys Evans.
He's following up Tommy Makinson, isn't he, Mark Percival from last week?
Is that another three-quarter who's going to make it into the Barry and Terry big hits?
Yes. Yes, I'll commit to that one now, Eddie. Great defender. Those decisions, when you make them, you come in, you shut those players down, and Mark Percival, I think we've said already a couple of times that when he's got the ball in hand, he's a very destructive, dangerous runner, really growing into his body now. Before, probably in 2016, he started to grow when he came into the team in 2014, 2015, learning his trade. I think he's fully accomplished now and one of the best centres in the game.
Wilkin always serves the cause, doesn't he, Wilkin, no matter where he plays. Matty Smith, he's made a difference to Saints tonight with this kicking game of his. That is a little long.
Well, again, Eddie, you go back to the options that they'll have. It's not all about give the ball to John Wilkin on the last play. He's gonna kick it so you can put pressure on him. You don't know whether John Wilkin's gonna kick it. You don't know whether that man Matty Smith's gonna kick it. James Roby from dummy half. That's what you need. You need to keep defences guessing.
And on that tap restart, which is a 7-tackle tap restart in 2017, Warrington very flat-footed.
It is. It's hard not to be, though, isn't it? You've played 6, almost lost 6, Eddie. You've played over 60 minutes and not had the bounce any luck go your way. They've been completely outclassed with some of the play from the Saints. And it's tough, isn't it? Very tough to play with the confidence as if you're still top of the league.
Ratchford, they have it in them. Speaking of tough, Widnes are doing it tough. And Salford relishing in the high pitch. And that's a high shot. Is it by Douglas or Payroux?
Well, Kevin Brown spots a gap. He goes in, it's Payroux that just goes over, just makes contact around the neck.
So chance for Warrington then with Gidley. Time is their enemy as much as St Helens is tonight now. Brown. Back it comes to Westerman. Nice little flick out of the back door to Chris Hill, and Chris Hill won't give it up without a fight. Gets to within half a metre of the line. Darrell Clark is waiting. From Darrell Clark it goes to Brown, and Brown goes wide and finds Toby King. Tries to fool them with his footwork. Morgan sticks to the task. Tommy Makinson just pulled out, otherwise he would have been penalised for a possible flop. There is Livette, and the kick from Livette not good. Roby is able to pick it up easily.
Well, when Livette was going to kick that ball, there were still some players, Warrington players, walking back behind where Livette was. So there couldn't be an option for them. Nobody was pushing up and like challenging for that kick.
I can't help thinking that that's the wrong way around. Harvey Livette should not be kicking for Kevin Brown. It should be the other way around. And Kurt Gidley as well. But they are trying. That's the point we're making. It's not because there's a lack of effort. It's just something's wrong.
Something is wrong with very flat, and something wrong with that pass from Zeb Taylor.
Oh, come on, let's see if Warrington can form this scrum. Jack Hughes is trying to implore his teammates to get along here as we see the ball thrown over the sideline. They stop the clock out if they can form the scrum. They have got time. They've got time. They need a miracle.
They would need a St Helens against Warrington.
We have seen it before. We've watched enough games to know that this could happen.
Salford Saints next Thursday will be a cracker if the scoreline stays as they are tonight. Looks like Salford are home and hose. If Saints win this, that'll be a belter, and so will this. It's always one of the blue ribbon fixtures of the season. Leeds and Wigan, 7:30 Sky Sports 2 next Friday. April the 1st, next Saturday, the Dragons of Catalan against Wakefield Trinity. Toby King now for Warrington. Coming up to 10 minutes from time. 24-6. Warrington need a miracle. Can Westerman provide it? No under pressure from Taylor, he can't.
Yeah, he was looking to get his arm free, offload that ball to one of his teammates.
Hill to Gidley. Gidley finds Livette. Livette goes wide, and it's off the boots of Jack Johnson, but Owens made a play at that. I think this will be head and feed to Warrington. Oh, it's head and feed to Saints.
Get away with it, don't they? Livette goes to that left-hand side, throws that cut-out ball to his winger.
Well,
Jack Johnson.
The rule he hasn't played, I think he's actually forced his knees toward it. I think Warrington are unlucky at that one. I think there's his play at the ball. Changes the position of his legs.
Into the last 10 minutes we go then. 18 points, 3 scores needed by Warrington.
Second row, yeah.
And that's only for a draw.
But what happens in this next 10 minutes is what they do when they've got the ball. They don't want to concede a try when they're defending, and they've got to finish in a positive manner. They've got to build on it. They can't just finish the season tonight. They've got to come up with some big games over the next few weeks. They've got to turn their season around. Normally we're looking at Warrington saying they're going to be challenging the top many people's favourites to get to the grand final and lift the big trophy at the end of the year.
Well, they were everyone's favourites when they beat Brisbane. Everyone's favourites. Well, this was going to be the year.
It's Leeds from 2016, isn't it? Repeated. A side who many people thought would be up the top. Got off to a terrible start and confidence drifts away. It's very easy how it can drift away so quickly from even the champion sides who've had so much success. And there's a great control here now from St Helens, Roby and Smith and co. You know, just to make sure they don't press the self-destruct button.
This might be another 7 tackle set coming for Warrington. It is. It's the second long kick he's put in. Just recently, Matty Smith, he won't be happy with that. But he'd be happy that he's got through 71.5 minutes. And so will Ratchford for Warrington. Chris Hill, of course, has... I don't think he's left the field tonight, has he, Chris Hill? Oh, yes, he has. He was replaced by Walker in the first half, I think.
The conditioners at clubs now.
By Ashton Sims in the first half. I've just got him transferred.
The conditioners at the clubs now, the medical staff are very important, but the conditioners are just as important. They need to make sure that when Stefan Ratchford returns, he looks fit, he looks healthy. Obviously, his skills have let him down on that occasion there.
And that play probably sums up Warrington, doesn't it, in the opening 6 games of Super League? To make the mistake like that. When do you ever see a player of that ability making a mistake like that? And Tony Smith knows that. He's got a star-studded side that, for whatever reason it may be, they're not performing.
I wonder what it is. I wonder, how do you go from heroes to zeros? I mean, they competed both major finals. They were league leaders last year. They took Brisbane Broncos apart. I know they hate the fact that we're all still harping on about that, but they did for the first 40 minutes anyway. Where's it gone?
It happens in team sport. You'd have your ups, you'd have your downs, and like Warrington, they're the side that everyone wants to beat. They've been at the top of the league. They've been up challenging for honours for the last 5-6 years. So everyone raises the game to play them. It's very difficult to do it and maintain them performances week in, week out.
And it's not for a lack of investment. Kevin Brown, Mike Cooper back this year, big money signings. So the stars are there. That's a good ball from Farge to Percival.
And a good shot from Kirk Gidley as well.
It was. This is Walmsley. Roby is at dummy half, 12 metres out. And the drop goal from Matty Smith just to cause more headaches for the Warrington Wolves, and that was a good shot.
You mentioned game management last night, Eddie, and this is again what it is. Set up to one side of the sticks, I'll stand centre field straight in front of the post, and look at that perfect strike right in front of all those die-hard Saints fans.
He's been good, hasn't he, Matty Smith? Yeah. He obviously started his career at St Helens, a number of different clubs, latterly his last club, Wigan, and when 3 people were asked in the Vox Pops when I was sat with Brian, do you think Matty Smith will make a difference? I don't think they were that committed. I wonder if you ask the same 3 people now whether they thought Matty Smith would make the difference, whether they'd give the same answer.
But another drop goal for Matty Smith. He kicked 25 drop goals in his Wigan career. That's a club record. 9 of them coming in 2016, last year, as Wigan made it to the grand final and, of course, won the Super League title last year against this Warrington Wolves team. Alex Walmsley all over the top of Kevin Brown.
Yeah, the enormous figure, Alex Walmsley, just wouldn't let Kevin Brown get up. He was looking at the referee, and he was floored on the ground.
When you think of the matches we've seen between these two sides over the years, there has been some thrillers, haven't there? And I know that this hasn't been a a thriller, but it has been workmanlike from St Helens. They've done exactly what they needed to win.
Get the job done. That's all Kieran Cunningham would have talked about.
Well, they'll be out of the bottom four.
Outplay your opposite, make sure you're determined every time you carry the ball. Carry it with some passion.
Clark. Brown. Can Warrington give their supporters something to go home smiling about, albeit probably from the side of their mouths? Darrell Clark. And he tries to get that ball down. He's held up, though.
In that good defence from Luke Douglas. Spots the threat, spots the danger of Darrell Clark. As soon as he goes out, Tommy Makinson holding him up, and then Douglas rides over the top of him, prevents that try.
And that will please Kieran Cunningham as much as anything that's happened up the other end of the field tonight. Can they keep them out here with Rhys Evans? Yes, they can. Percival just pulls him to ground, and that's the turnover.
He'll be happy with Percival. Number of times he's been tested, a number of times he's come up with the goods, with and without the ball. But I think what he'll focus and concentrate on, they haven't been perfect by any means, St Helens tonight, but they've done the fundamentals very well. Before the game, we talked about what it takes to be a successful side and what different components and facets successful sides have. Well, they do the little things really, really well. And I think Kieran Cunningham, Sean Long on his right there, they'll admit and they'll be pleased with the fact that they've done the little things really well.
They will. And Kieran has defended his side and his players stoutly all season. Of their grimmer performances, he's always thought that they've played really well. Here's a 40-20 attempt from Addy Smith again. And this time it's cut off by Johnson.
Well, if St Helens do have a successful season, I think they might well look back to the last few minutes of the game in Perpignan last weekend. And the miracle try that was set up and involved with Ryan Morgan and Theo Fage, his offload, was absolutely amazing. The confidence and the buzz that gives to the Saints on the journey home and going into this game, which was a pivotal one at round 6 here now, what it does for the side here over a strong contender against them here. There's a mistake, is there made here now, and it's all falling apart for the Wolves now.
Well,
they were good for 30 minutes, but it's gone. But Saints, and that victory in Perpignan has been massive for them in my eyes.
Theo Fage, Ryan Morgan and Jack Owen, who scored the try, was on hand, and Jack Owen has his critics. He's not first choice. Whenever he gets in the team, he tries to take his opportunity. He's scored again tonight.
Tommy, ball out.
So St Helens feed the scrum with 3 minutes remaining. Percival has been outstanding. Swift's got a couple of tries. Percival has kicked 4 goals. Jack Owens, as Barry says, it's been an all-round team effort. Salford have won at Widnes. Leeds have beaten Huddersfield, I think, just about, although that was a later score we saw going through just before. And Huddersfield have caused Leeds a few problems in the recent past. Here's Tommy Lee. Big Alex Walmsley charges on. Great reward for a great display from the big man. Alex Walmsley on his 40th consecutive St Helens appearance. The top offloader, the most carries, the most meters forward in the first 5 rounds. And Alex Walmsley gets his second try of 2017, sends the St Helens supporters home happy, and makes it an even more convincing win than it was just seconds ago. 29-6, kicks to come.
But what Saints have managed to do is they've managed to make the most of their opportunities, whether that's a penalty the other way or a knock-on and scrum to St Helens. Very simple, but I'll tell you what, do your best to stop that big fella running at that pace. And Jack Hughes is a tremendous defender. He wraps his legs, knocks his knees together, and all 7'10" of him gets over the line and gets his try.
It's just good luck, isn't it? How do you stop someone when you're defending your try line? You can't get that line speed, which is what you'll need if you're going to be confronted with that huge man. And also, when you do hit him, you can't be a leg tackler when you're so close to the line, because all he's got to do is reach over from maybe 10 metres out and he'll still ground the ball.
Well, this hole that Warrington are digging for themselves in 2017 is getting deeper and deeper and deeper. This for a 31-6 scoreline as we enter the final minute of this match. You would never have believed it at the start of the year that Warrington would be played 6, lost 6 after the opening 6 rounds of the Betfred Super League campaign of 2017. But that is the harsh fact tonight, and they have not been good enough.
They haven't, no. It's live sport. There's no script written before the season starts. That's why it's so interesting that the people turn up, tune in to watch and follow the highs and lows of following your side. If you're a real supporter, you stick with them through thick and thin, and it's a test, I know, for the Warrington guys who've come here tonight to sing for the support. But they've seen some good times, and they've just got to hope sooner or later the club start to pick up themselves up out of this hole. It might be a long year.
It could be, as I say, it might be a long time between now and Easter, because after this they've got 2 home games to come, so they would hope for redemption in those. But when you look that Tony Smith's men will face Hull and Leeds in the next 2 home games before they go to Widnes, which is always a difficult match, and that's over Easter.
Anything can happen in derby games, but before that derby game there's 2 really tough games for them.
Then they've got Huddersfield as home in round 10, so who knows?
Eddie,
who knows?
I think they've been the second best team, but perhaps not by the points that are shown on the scoreboard. They've been closer than 31-6.
You think so?
I do.
I'm trying to think the try apart when they really threatened the St Helens line, but that is a debate for another time. 31-6. The coaches shake hands, and the agony goes on for Tony Smith. Kieran Cunningham has taken his men out of the bottom 3, I think, tonight. But Warrington Wolves are rooted at the foot of the table.
Well, there's a respect between those 2 fellas, isn't there? Kieran Cunningham and Tony Smith. And that man, Matty Smith, has had a dream second debut in Super League.
And we heard that Stephen Broomhead, the chairman, who is out there on the field now, waiting to bring his players off, the chairman, said that the board has full confidence in Tony Smith as coach, despite this, there he is, Stephen Broomhead, despite this woeful start to the season. Tony Smith, to be fair to him, has got runs on the board.
Of course he has. And the players will take responsibility. It's those players who are going out there, they're the ones who are making mistakes. Tony's not saying to them before the game, go out there, offload the ball in impossible situations, make mistakes, miss tackles. Kurt Gidley's been around the block. There's so many good players. Kevin Brown, Stephen Ratchford, Ben Westwood, who's tonight was his 467th game at the top flight. You just look at the experience that they've got. I'll tell you, Eddie, those boys will be really hurting. They don't want to come out in front of the Sky cameras, in front of their fans, and come up with losses like they have done this year. But let's give credit to St Helens. St Helens were brilliant last week when they played against Caton, and they were brilliant tonight.
Yes, they played really well. They really did. And the team that has dominated Warrington in Super League for most of the last 20 years. 45 wins now from 59 encounters. Well, who's the Betfred Super League man of the match? It's Matty Smith on his comeback. No surprise, Angela.
There it is, Matty Smith, man of the match on your return, your first game in Super League. First game back for Saints in this stint as well. How do you feel after that win?
Oh yeah, good. You know, just good to get the win. I mean, we've not started the best, as everyone knows, but you know, we've been building over the last couple of weeks, and you know, to beat a Warrington side that are struggling at the minute, but there's still a quality outfit, and you know, to get the 2 points was the main thing tonight.
To do a whole 80 minutes as well, that's some going. After that, what you've gone through?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, all the credit needs to go to you know, Millsy and Ads, you know, the physios and the doctors that have, you know, worked really hard with me, and you know, they've been fantastic, and to get me back in 8 weeks is remarkable, really. You know, so all the credit's got to go to them.
The kicking game has always been key, hasn't it? And tonight you turned it on.
Yeah, you know, that's probably one of my strengths, is my kicking game and organisation and all that kind of stuff. And you know, I'm just glad to do my part for the squad. And I thought the boys were outstanding tonight, especially the middles. You know, when you come up against the likes of Chris Hill and Ashton Sims, people out in the middle, it's always going to be tough. And I thought our middle stood up tonight.
Fans are glad to see you back. You're glad to be back yourself.
Oh, you know, this is what I wanted. Obviously, you know, playing for your own town club is great, and you know, unfortunate start, but you know, great to get back now, and hopefully we can, you know, crack on.
Congratulations, well done, Matty. We've got Stephen Ratchford with us now. Stephen back from injury as well. It didn't quite go to plan or to script for you there, Steph.
No, not quite. Obviously, same as the last 5 weeks. It's pretty frustrating. I mean, we've come up with a real good 31 minutes to start the game, and then, you know, a few moments of, you know, lapse of concentration has cost us. You know, I won myself in the second half. You know, it's just little things like that that are costing us at the minute, and, you know, any game at this level, you're going to get punished, and that's what's happened tonight.
What's key to this? What have you got your finger on? What's happening?
No, I wish I did have. Like I said, for 31 minutes we've gone toe to toe. We was probably getting the better of field position, and then, you know, a 9-minute spell we find ourselves 18 points down, and, you know, it's something we've got to work on. It's, you know, 1 or 2 games it was, you know, bad. 3-4 it was, you know, let's get going. But 6 on the bounce isn't acceptable for this club and for us as players, and we've got to go in there, have a good look at ourselves and turn this around very quickly.
Does it make it very difficult now to make that top 4?
It does, yeah. I mean, we've still got to play all them top teams again, and they've got to play each other, so hopefully they can, you know, knock each other off and whatnot. But we've just got to, you know, focus on getting the first win, and then, you know, the second will come on the back of that, and we'll just, you know, got to climb the table that way. We can't be looking at top 4, top 2 at the moment. We've just got to focus on, you know, fixing up the little things and getting that first win.
Thanks for talking to us, Steph. Appreciate it. We've got the winning coach here now, Kieran. Kieran, you've been looking for him to come back, and you've been looking. You said before the game, kicking will be key, and it was.
Well, it was. I mean, you said that the opening 25 minutes, both sides completed really high, and that's, you play in possession, you play in percentage games, and that's what we did. And I thought we was good for that win. You know, I thought we built so much pressure, we put them in so many bad spots that inevitably we was going to score points, and I thought we did that. And, you know, we will improve, we'll get better, we'll learn to play with Matty a little bit more. But I just thought across the board, you know, from 1 to 17, I thought tonight they did themselves proud, and they did all these fans proud of this.
You must be very, very pleased with Matty. He's managed to stay on the pitch for so long and look fit as well.
He did. He was tired at the end. Yeah. You know, and Warrington, smart players, Kevin, them boys, they tried to expose him a little bit, but I think the players around him really helped him. But I thought across the, you know, Matt Percival tonight was just, he's an England centre nailed on. You know, he's a phenomenal talent, and, you know, we've got to nurture him and make him grow. But across the board, I thought there's lots of really good showings.
2 back-to-back wins there. Congratulations, Kieran. Thanks very much for your time. We've got Tony Smith with us now. Tony, I hate to ask the question, but 6 losses out of 6. What is going on?
Yeah, we're doing it tough at the moment, as you can see. We competed pretty well, and there wasn't much between us in those in that first half. And a couple of kicks that went their hand, you know, and their kicking game I thought was way better than ours in the first half. And that gets you on a bit of a roll, and then your confidence grows, and that's where they've got to in the last couple of weeks, and that's what we need to do. You know, get some of those little things right, pull off something that makes us feel better rather than worse, and keep working at it. But you know, there wasn't much between us. Defensively, I thought a pretty good effort from my boys, but just some of the lack of ball control, not in terms of passing and the lack of skill, but getting up to play the ball, and just some messy areas, and it just kills you when you can't get field position and possession.
There's pressure all over the place, isn't there? The players feeling pressure. You're probably feeling pressure as well at this stage in the season.
Oh yeah, we don't want to be where we're at. We're hurting, you know. It hurts us to see where we're at, and, you know, to come off the field and be beaten again. That hurts us, you know. We do this for our living. It's what we do 6-7 days a week in terms of our dedication to it. So when it's not going right, it hurts us, absolutely, and it hurts our fans and our support. But, you know, all we can do is keep working hard and, you know, and get these little things right. A couple of weeks ago, I don't think Saints were travelling that well, and their last 3 games now, they've been good. You know, they've turned it, and that's what we need to do in the next couple of weeks.
It takes a win, doesn't it, to get that confidence back and show what they can do?
Yeah, well, there was improvement in some of our defence. It was way better than what it has been, and, you know, we'll take some from that, but we need to get that attack and kicking game, you know, in order so we can start to apply pressure. We just didn't apply pressure to Saints in the first half. You know, and the first time we applied some pressure in the second half, we scored a try. You know, we just need to be able to do that earlier in games. And, you know, we're learning some hard lessons at the moment, but that's what we've got to do. We've got to take our medicine, go away and come back next week and make sure that we get it right.
Thanks for talking to us, Tony.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, hurting at the moment, says Tony Smith himself. his players and the club as a whole, no doubt about that. They did apply pressure at the start of the second half, John Wells. They trailed 18-0 at half-time, and as Tony Smith said, when they put a bit of pressure on, they scored through Kurt Gidley, but St Helens closed it out in the end. John, your game breaker for the Saints.
Yeah, and it's the full stop to that period, actually, Brian. There is a flourish on the end of this in the form of Swift's second try, which I've left on there because we all like the spectacular, but things don't have to be spectacular to be important. You mentioned Kurt Gidley's try, and you mentioned that Warrington had arguably the better of that first exchanges of the second half. So have a look then at some work here. A man who's been able to keep his focus, take instruction, and how these little things end up making such a big difference. The man who we're talking about, as soon as Matty Smith comes across here and delivers a message to Zeb Taylor. Now, I want you to keep your eye on Zeb Taylor, because it's his movements now which result in the penalty that Percival kicks that takes them more than 2 scores clear, and really put the cork back in the bottle, if you like, in terms of restricting Warrington's enthusiasm following that Gidley try. Have a look at this now, pre-play. He's taken up a completely different line. That line, on instruction from Matty Smith, sits directly on the inside, well, eventually, of Kurt Gidley's shoulder. Kurt Gidley is the man who concedes the penalty. You know, it's little things like that. The man who is able to keep his head, keep his focus, follow instructions under fatigue. And that took them more than 2 scores clear. The flourish, well, that was Adam Swift's second try, courtesy of a lovely snap kick off his wrong foot, or his right foot, from John Wilkin, and then collected by Swift for the second of his brace this afternoon. So whilst we finish with the flourish, the real nuts and bolts of that game breaker are in the unspectacular, which have the big effects for your team on the day. Zeb Taylor.
Yes, thanks very much, John. The little things is what Tony Smith pointed as Warrington lacking in executing properly the little parts of the game. John Wilkin, beautiful kick for Adam Swift's try, and it will be John Wilkin who joins John Wells at the touchscreen after this break we've got coming up here. You'll hear Wilkin's take on Saints' very important win. They're back-to-back wins now in Super League. Welcome back to St Helens, where we have witnessed the home side recording a comprehensive victory over the Warrington Wolves, 31 points to 6. While it's back-to-back wins now for St Helens in Super League, it is Warrington Wolves who will be the story at the end of this night. They have now played 6, lost 6 in the 2017 Betfred Super League. This is last year's grand finalists and league leaders we are talking about. Okay, there were 3 other games tonight in Super League. Well, Leeds led at half-time 18 points to 12. They extended that to a 28 points to 12 win over Huddersfield, just their second win in 10 visits to the John Smith Stadium. And Salford built on a healthy 30-0 half-time lead to close out the game 46 points to 10 at the Select Security Stadium. Widnes still searching for their first win of the season. And it looked all done and dusted just shortly into the second half as Hull FC led 22-0 at the DW Stadium. But what a rally from the Wigan Warriors. They come up short in the end, but it finished 22-20, and we will have the tries for you coming up shortly from that match. Well, the good news for Hull FC and Leeds fans is they go 1 and 2 in the table after that combination of results. Wigan dropped down into 3rd, and St Helens, the big beneficiaries, they move from 9th up into 6th. And the story, as I said tonight, will be again the Warrington Wolves, bottom of the table. 6 games played, no wins. Well, no doubt that table makes difficult reading for any Warrington Wolves fans and anybody associated with the club. Last week, after their 5th defeat, their captain Chris Hill said, "We were simply not good enough against Lee." I wonder what he makes of this latest disappointment. He's with Angel Powers, and we can hear from him now.
Chris, you must be hurting right now.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I think you said you probably could play me interview from last week. I think there's some improvements in the first half an hour, but we're just imploding in that 10 minutes before half time. It's not good enough at the minute, and silly errors we can blame 50-50 decisions going against us, or you know what I mean. It's only us who can do this and pull ourselves out of it.
That tight defence of last year just seems to have fallen apart at times.
It is, yeah, but I think we made massive improvement first half an hour. I really do. We went set for set with them. We didn't have a good ball set in first half again. I think our kicking game weren't up there, but we just weren't getting in the right areas to put it there. We're giving them easy, cheap ball and then giving them penalties on third, fourth tackle, just inviting them back into our 10. It's not good enough, and you can't do that at this level.
Does it feel position you're fighting against it all the time?
We was, yeah, and for sure, first set, second half, we have one good ball and we score. You know what I mean? And we've got to get that drilled into our heads. That we've just got to go set for set with them and see breaks, and it's us at the minute.
What can you do in the space of a week to try to change the attitude and the feeling within the camp?
Keep working hard at it. We've got to keep. This is our life, though. At the end of the day, we've got to keep working hard at it, and people have got to see that. We was in there working hard this week on our defence, and I thought it showed for the first half an hour, like I said. But we've just got to keep working harder and harder and harder, and it will turn. Can
I ask you a question? Is there still unity in this team? Are you playing together still as a group of friends?
Oh, of course we are. We're all friends. We play, we win and we lose together. It's as simple as that, and that's what this game's all about. And you go on as a team and we go off as a team whether we win or lose.
Thanks for your time, Chris. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we win together, we lose together. It's as simple as that. The words of Warrington captain Chris Hill. He referenced the first 30 minutes of the game, and if you watch that, and they'll watch it back no doubt on video, Phil Clark, they'll see themselves very much in a game. They ultimately lost by quite a margin, but for 30 minutes they were brilliant and imploded for a 5-minute spell in that first half.
I thought that was the best they've played since they played against Castleford and pushed the Tigers quite a long way into almost winning that match. But there were periods, weren't there, where they did look like the team sitting at the bottom of the table. And when that happened, then the try started to roll in.
It seems to be a house of cards. Zeb Taya goes over in the 31st minute, Phil, and 6-0 down, and that suddenly became 18-0 down.
Well, there was an element of luck, wasn't to that first one, but there's just a massive amount of skill involved in this. They stretched the Warrington defenders, and the scramble was admirable, wasn't it? They worked from one side to the other, but the quality of this kick, well, there are very few players in this competition who can kick the ball that accurately, and Jack Lynch was a very grateful recipient of it. James Roby then was very happy then to come on the field. Perhaps it worked, giving him a 20-minute rest. Matt Percival did look like the classiest centre out there tonight, and he helped to set up Adam Swift, and it was a purple patch. We've seen the Tigers do that this year. They have a 10-minute period where they blast 3 or 4 tries, and their opponents are gone.
Did you get a feeling of deja vu? Last night we were at Wakefield. We saw them trail 24 points to 12 at half-time. They scored first in the second half. Gidley scores first in the second half for the Warrington Wolves. Did you sense any sort of a comeback?
Well, I hope we did, because I thought we were going to get a greater game over 80 minutes. But I think that Warrington then, they made a mistake, didn't they, after the tap? That was the first Gidley try. They had another chance then, moments later, when they were in attack. They threw a forward pass, I think, on the first or second play. And then St Helens started to show. I think this is the best Warrington have played for several weeks, though. You know, if this
really,
was
you can find hope in this.
I thought they played okay. I mean, they made 100 tackles more than Saints and missed about the same amount. The defence wasn't bad for most of it. It's just they played with poor field position and were at the wrong end of the field for 2 long periods.
Okay, it is difficult times for the Warrington Wolves. There will be smiles, no doubt, on the faces of the St Helens players, and it's not so long ago that they found themselves in a bit of a rut. Let's hear a man who's been with them every step of the way, every kick, pass of the way, every tackle of the way. John Wilkin is now with John Wells. Over to the 2 Johns.
Thanks very much, Brian. John, thanks for joining us, and congratulations on the win.
Thanks.
I won't delve too much into the mixtures of emotions of relief. I would imagine will be one of them. What I will do straight away is ask you, given that we interview all these players before the game and we get any number of cliches about what's going on, we got the opportunity here to have a bit of footage of you. This is the last 20 seconds before you walk out onto the field. What are you saying?
Well, I think this fine-tuning's done at this point, really. We've done all our preparation in the week. For me, as captain now, maybe a few key points. What I said here was, let's control the speed of the game. For me, Warrington were a threat with Matty Russell, Ratchford back in the team, Chris Hill, who gets them playing direct and quick.
Darryl Clark out
of the yeah, exactly, out of the ruck. So what I was saying is, here, let's control that situation and do our best, whatever we can do collectively to control that ruck. And, you know, I thought we did that, you know, as well as we could. Warrington got a roll on at some stage in the game, but we had penalties, field position, and ultimately we probably were just too good in the end.
So given that was the last instruction that went out, there's obviously there's some capacity there to take on board some other instruction as well, because I thought the way that you started with ball in hand was marked in a marked difference, even from the improvement we saw in Perpignan last week.
Yeah.
I got a piece of footage to show you to illustrate this. This was the thing that really struck me within the first 10 or 15 minutes. Is this as significant as I'm making out?
Well, it's a set play, so to pause it there, John. If you can see, look, we've got probably 8 or 9 Warrington defenders within half of the field now. It doesn't take a lot of, sort of complex maths to work out that there's fewer defenders on the longer side. We wanted to move them around a little bit. This was probably designed just to get them moving, open those spaces up in the middle, and then the plan was to go through.
Warrington in particular, or every team?
Every team. I think offset starts, there's an opportunity to attack. One of my biggest frustrations with the modern game is offset starts. We're reluctant to attack. We're often the game's consumed by percentages and ball retention, and I think that's dull. We should be attacking offset starts.
I sit here at the screen every single Thursday and Friday, and we talk about getting to a position, getting to an area of the field to hit again. And
that's everybody mimics each other, and I find that quite dull. And I think we've got to be better than that. And we wanted to move the ball. Look, this was aimed to speed the game up. So Jack gets tackled, and Warrington are on the back foot. Then that's the aim of it.
Yeah, and a theme that was continued right through to where we saw Jack Owens score the try. First mention then of the returning Matty Smith. One, it freed you up and put you back in your rightful position, although there's still an awful lot of ball playing going on there. Yeah. But two, again, just more emphasis on this willingness to play.
Well, since I've been at Saints, John, we've always been encouraged to pass the ball, move the ball. Obviously, Matty Smith gets the ball here off the back of 2 or 3 passes. The Warrington defence, as a result, is stretched. As you see, look at this. For me, the most telling thing is this space here. When there's a space like that, either we get the chance to move the ball and find that, or inevitably these defenders are going to try and close that space, and Matty Smith picks that and kicks into the corner.
And that's a result. That's a result. This gap here, there's a lapse in concentration there. As the ball's gone away, as the ball went over this side, it's a lapse in concentration by that defender. Now, the key word, which I'll come back to at the end of this piece of analysis, or the end of the interview, is confidence, and we'll address that right at the end. Cool. So, confidence here, the willingness to play, and a lack of confidence, which leads to all manner of other mistakes on this side of the field.
Yeah, and I think that little period of play, to give ourselves a bit of credit, the little period of play with the offload, back to the inside, play back to the middle, actually that's really hard to defend, whether you're confident or not. I actually think that's hard to defend. Great sides can move the ball and expose teams' weaknesses, and I thought it was a fantastic kick from Matty Smith.
Well, even harder to defend when you've got someone who's this...
Look, this space here for me was the key. Jack Owen did well to hold his width, actually called that play. You could hear it in the stadium. So a great call from Jack Owen, a great kick from Matty Smith.
You've been in a form slump relatively recently yourselves. I'm not going to make this about Warrington.
Yeah.
But the loss against Hull, does the message at that point, does the message change? Do you start to simplify things? Do you start to try and pare things back as a team? And does that have a knock-on effect as well in terms of kind of lowering your horizons or expectations?
Yeah, well, I think there's a real thing in sport. You overanalyse defeats. So we overanalyse defeats. We look into every nook and cranny of the game and try and explore reasons and whys and what falls, what happened. When you win, you're quite blasé and you probably brush over those things that you should be looking at. There's somewhere in the middle that's always the right place to be. In those weeks where we've lost games, and probably where Warrington are now, is they're analysing every facet of their game.
That's potentially dangerous thing to be
getting. I think it is, because look, I think relaxing, getting back to what your identity is, trusting your culture, our cultures, to play a bit of rugby, to enjoy playing, to play with some skill.
But it took its time though, John. It took its time. We were saying, we sat here before the Wakefield Trinity game, the Wakefield Trinity loss, and said, I want to watch Saints. I don't want to watch that jittery stop-start stuff that we saw for the first few rounds.
Hey, John, you get your boots on against Wakefield. I'll tell you what, we'll see you out here in ankle-deep mud and see how you get on.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But that's...
Yeah, no, it was a tough... What I'm trying to say is tough conditions. That night, we played horrendously. Wakefield played the conditions better than what we did. The league game and the Wakefield game were really frustrating for us because... We'd lost Matty Smith. We'd sort of trade all pre-season with Matty there. We compromised, shifted things around. It didn't quite work. The fans were getting twitchy, and that's quite a vicious cycle. And it took going to Hull and actually playing quite well to break that, and we broke it. And that's what Warrington need to do, isn't it? They need to break that cycle somehow. And overanalyzing it's not probably the way to do it.
Well, we're going to continue to overanalyse things here just one last time. What we are going to look at is Adam Swift's contribution. 2 tries for him. I think more to do with the timing of the tries. Very significant, certainly the first one. Took you out to 18 points. Now, Kieran Cunningham made a point of saying Mark Percival, international centre, nailed on. Tell me why.
Well, he finds space. There's not many centres in the world find space. Look, Zeb Ty's done a great
job. The yellow book.
all day. Gidley's probably lost a few of his rucks. Zeb Ty's played the ball quickly as a result. Reece Evans wants to get involved in that tackle. Like Mark Percival's been calling this all day. He's been waiting for his opportunity. And he punches a line. Mark Percival finds space when other players don't. That's why he's an international centre. We have a lot of athletic centres who are big, strong, fast, but don't have an instinctive knack to find space. Mark Percival's a really naturally gifted centre, and I don't want to put pressure on the kid and talk him up too much, but I've played with some great centres, Jamie Lyon, Matt Gidley, who are instinctive centres, found space. Mark Percival can do that, and his belief has grown so much. I watched him come back having worked with Wayne Bennett in the England setup, and his confidence has gone through the roof. And great line, Adam Swift, great support, and you know, it's a difficult play to defend that. Zeb Ty made the try, I will say. What
you are saying also there, without saying it, is that you're not putting too much pressure on him, because he's a man who he understands where he is in the game.
Yeah,
he's got patience. He's prepared to wait.
Yeah.
And then we get to the second of the two tries.
Yeah.
You're involved heavily in the build-up here. Nice little kick off the right foot. We'll just highlight you very quickly. Yeah. Presumably, you know this is on now at this point.
Yeah, well, you can't see Adam Swift out the shot. Look, if they've put 5 players here, if you pause it, we're from a 6, which is from the post. They've put 5 players now. With 2 markers and a fullback, that's 5 and 5. Basically, I knew the winger was going to be up flat, kick behind. Swifty did well to finish it, but injured his shoulder in the process, which could be.
Score blew out in the end. It is a victory. One last question. Confidence.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to pinpoint where it comes from, where it goes from. In one sentence, I'll give you your best shot at answering that.
Well, yeah, it's elusive, but I believe it comes through hard work, actual grit at the training field. You get your confidence through actions and not through words. People try and get it back through words. It's all about actions, and we had some good actions tonight, John.
John, congratulations. Well done on the win. Salford next week in front of the Sky cameras, just as a bit of a taster. They've dusted Widnes, 46 points to 10 away. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, John. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, thanks, John. Thanks to John Wilkin as well. We will see them next week. Phil Clark said if Warrington didn't win that game, that was their top 4 ambitions done and dusted. Terry O'Connor said that if Hull FC didn't beat Wigan tonight, in his opinion, they weren't genuine grand final contenders. They have beaten them, Phil Clark, and we can have a look at the tries now. They did it in style to start the game. They blew out into an 18-0 lead. First try, Steve Michaels. No for Tully Talanoa. Michaels deputising again. He's an able deputy.
Oh, he is, and you know, you've got to see the importance of kicking in the modern game. Mark Sneed's try was the first one, and Albert Kelly has been very impressive. I think, along with George Williams, the best couple of standoffs in the competition. Hull keeping the ball alive here around the halfway line, and his ability to put himself there on the end of a chance, and wow, look at the strength and ability that he's kept alive here, bouncing through tackles like a pinball machine.
Now, no Carlos Tumavave meant Jake Connor started in the centres. Keep an eye out for Sika Manu's contribution in Jake Connor's try just before half-time.
Well, Mark Minicello usually plays on the left. He's drifted over to the right and found the other back rower, Sika Manu, flicks it out the back for Jake Connor to score, and it looked like Hull were in complete control at this point in the match. Early in the second half, then the fullback. Here's Mark Sneed again, teasing with the defenders. They're going around the Wigan defence, and this guy's pretty strong. Josh Griffin, another good buy, a recruit in this season. Keeping it alive there with Jamie Shaw, in and away, and good speed to slide over in the corner.
And the try not converted, the first misconversion by Mark Sneed in 2017. The comeback was on then. Liam Forsyth to the try for Wigan, 22-4, followed up by George Williams. Phil, what a start to the season he's having.
Well, he's been equally as impressive as Albert Kelly won't. He'll take on defenders. They've managed here now to keep it out wide, the overlap, and then we just wait for the kick back inside. Brilliant kick from Liam Marshall with the right foot, towed into the in-goal area, George Williams, and I guess the home crowd were getting excited at this point.
For every good kick, there must be a good catch as well. This is Tom Davies going over, and Liam Marshall, Phil, to push it to 22-20, gets this with minutes to go.
Well, we've had a nail-biting again. Both wingers scoring good tries, but not enough then, weren't they, to here's the conversion attempt here from Morgan Escalay, wide on the left-hand side of the field. He misses, and Wigan avoid what would have been a second draw in 2 consecutive home games.
And a huge win for Hull FC, really important victory for them.
Well, they have started the season pretty impressively, haven't they? You know, they've got some good players. And next up, who is it they face? The Warrington Wolves. What a contest that is now for Warrington under pressure to play against the side, riding so high on confidence. What was interesting about what Tony Smith said to me
was the fact that the kicks weren't that good tonight. With Kevin Brown and in the side and Kirk Gidley, then I would have expected that to be better.
Okay, their hunt for a win goes on. There will be much spoken about that during the week. Here's what we've got coming up for you on Sky Sports. St Helens, fresh from victory, will face off against Salford, who had that momentous win, their largest ever away win in Super League tonight against the Widnes Vikings. 7 p.m. Sky Sports 2. Leeds move into second in the table. They host Wigan next Friday, 7:30 p.m. on Sky Sports 2. And then we see Wakefield victorious last night against Leigh. They go to the Catalan Dragons, who of course have to play Castleford this Sunday, 4:55 p.m. next Saturday on Sky Sports 3. Well, Phil Clark, thank you very much for your company on a night where, in your opinion, the hopes of a top 4 finish for the Warrington Wolves have died, while their hunt for a win goes on. Tough times for the Wolves.
Fade from Roby down to the in-goal area. The ball has come free. The kick from Matty Smith is invitation for Jack Owens. He'll score if he's got this down. Here goes Mark Percival. He's broken through. He has Adam Swift for support. Gets the ball to Adam Swift. Roby finished him off. Here's Brown again. This now Gidley. Warrington on the ball. That's a good kick from Wilkin, another cracker. Adam Swift is there. Adam Swift will score for St Helens. Big Alex Walmsley charges on. Great reward for a great display from the big man.
Enjoy Sky Sports Live. On all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.